Chapter 17-19. As soon as they got back, Shenjilia helped Yi Qianqian pack her suitcase while Yi Qianqian went straight to the bathroom to take a shower. After the shower, Yi Qianqian was in high spirits. As she dried her hair, she walked out and called out, "Shenjilia, it's still early. Let's go watch a movie." However, when he walked out, he found his suitcase in the middle of the living room. There were also two safety TS in the middle. Wasn't that the thing she had been hiding for days? Other than that night when Yi Qianqian took the initiative to do it with Shenjilia, she used this as an excuse to avoid him. Shenjilia was lying on the sofa playing with his phone. When he saw Yi Qianqian, he looked at her meaningfully and said, "Sure. Let's go watch a movie." Yi Qianqian was a little embarrassed. She laughed and said, "Let's go then. Put on your shoes. I'll go see what's so interesting." As he spoke, he walked over and kicked the suitcase with his foot. The suitcase immediately closed. Shenjilia could tell from her smile that her guilty conscience was asking for a beating. He got up, put on his shoes, and walked to the bathroom. He picked up his phone and sent a message to Luo Ran. "Shenjilia, there's a situation. I bought a few safety tanks a few days ago, but I couldn't find them. I thought I'd left them somewhere and forgot to take them. I didn't expect my girlfriend to hide them." Luo Ran was having a great time in the bar. The colorful lights were accompanied by the hot DJ, and he was dancing with hot beauties. He did not feel his phone vibrate at all. Shenjilia waited for a moment. When Luo Ran didn't reply, he put his phone away. Yi Qianqian chose a movie. It was a Disney blockbuster that had recently become very popular. Yi Qianqian had always been a fan of Disney. She asked Shenjilia for permission before she bought the tickets. Halfway through his computer, Shenjilia's cell phone suddenly rang. There weren't many people watching the late-night movie. Yi Qianqian was munching on popcorn and laughing as she watched the movie. Shenjilia leaned over and whispered, "I'm going out to take a call." Yi Qianqian glanced at it and saw two words clearly, Luo Ran. "Oh, go ahead." Shenjilia quickly left. Yi Qianqian wondered why the name Luo Ran sounded so familiar. By the time Shenjilia walked out, the line had already been cut off. When he called back, Luo Ran was very quiet. "Hey, what's going on?" Luo Ran was lying on the bed, feeling very comfortable. Shenjilia was about to speak when he heard a woman's voice. "Ran, I'm going to take a shower." "Okay, I'll wait for you." Luo Ran's voice was very gentle, and then there was the sound of kissing. Shenjilia was speechless. He knew that Yi Yuyu must have asked another girl out. If he wasn't at the hotel, then he was at the girl's house. "I say, can you calm down and find a girlfriend? Don't fool around outside all day. Be careful of getting sick." "Pfft. I only do it with women who look clean. How pure can a girl who goes to a bar be? Besides, I know how to take precautions. Forget it, let's not talk about this anymore. What's the situation with you? Didn't I tell you on WeChat just now? She's the one who hid the condoms. She's been rejecting me with the excuse that she doesn't want to take the medicine. Was it your girlfriend's first time with you?" "Yes." Chapter 17-20. Do it? Ahem. Shenjilia wanted to, but Yi Qianqian didn't want to, so he couldn't say anything. In his heart, he felt as if he had picked her up from the streets that night. He had swallowed such a great advantage. It was like a pie falling from the sky. I don't think she'll agree. If she doesn't agree, then think of a way. "What are you doing now?" "I'm watching a movie." I came out halfway to answer the phone. Shenjilia looked around as he spoke. "You're still watching a movie so late?" Luo Ran glanced at his phone. "It's almost midnight. What are you going to do after the movie?" "Maybe we're going to have supper and then go back." "Don't eat too much. Your stomach can't take it later." "Then what should I do?" "Threaten and bribe her to see how she reacts. If she really doesn't want to, then there's nothing you can do. It only means that your man isn't very charming. Is that even possible? There's nothing you can do. You really want to be with her. If you want to run away after sex, that's fine. But if you don't handle it well, it'll be over. I can't bear to see you become a living monk after you've finally broken through from being a virgin. Shinjilia was speechless. He felt that it was a waste of effort to find this guy today. That's it. I'm going to take a shower. My baby is still waiting for me, Luo Ran said and then hung up the phone. Shinjilia had no choice but to walk back to the cinema in the dark. There were many classic Disney movies with classic themes. This was a romantic love story remade from an anime. The ending was, of course, that the hero and the heroine lived happily together. Shinjilia held her hand. When the movie ended and the lights were turned on, he clearly saw the expression on Yi Qianqian's face. Longing and yearning. Looking at Shinjilia, Yi Qianqian quickly stood up. Ah. Let's go back for supper. What do you want to eat? Let's eat something light. How about porridge? Yi Qianqian tugged at his arm. She was in a good mood. Shinjilia naturally had no objection. The cinema was not far from where they lived, and there were many supper shops nearby. The two of them walked into a porridge shop. Yi Qianqian ordered some barbecue and porridge and ate with relish. It was late at night, and Yi Qianqian didn't dare to eat her fill. She stuffed the rest of the food into Shinjilia's hands. As Yi Qianqian watched Shinjilia eat, she rested her face in her hands and remarked, "This is the benefit of having a boyfriend." It was obvious that Shinjilia was being bullied, but he gladly endured it. He accepted his fate and ate a lot. When he got home, it was already 1 o'clock. When Yi Qianqian got home, she went straight to her room and changed into her pajamas. She brushed her teeth, washed her face, and put on a facial mask to play with her phone. When Shinjilia came out of the shower, Yi Qianqian happened to remove her mask. Yi Qianqian washed her face and put on some lotion before falling asleep. Shinjilia stood outside and looked at Yi Qianqian's room before looking at his own room. Finally, he turned his head and opened the suitcase in the middle of the living room. He picked up a condom and opened it before walking into Yi Qianqian's room. Yi Qianqian hadn't locked the door. When she heard the commotion, she looked over and blinked. "Are you sleeping here tonight? Okay, let's go together. What about your room?" "It's empty." Shinjilia walked over and lifted the blanket off her. He hugged her and hugged her. Chapter 17:21. You can't sleep. Shinjilia laughed viciously. Yi Qianqian felt her body, which was supposed to be exhausted, suddenly become arrogant again. You. Before Yi Qianqian could say anything, she was pulled down by Shinjilia. It started too late, and when it finished, it was already past midnight. Yi Qianqian felt as if all the bones in her body were about to break, and she fell into a deep sleep. When Yi Qianqian woke up, she opened her eyes and saw that the room was bright. She woke up with a start and picked up her cell phone to check the time. It was already 10 in the morning. Oh my God! Yi Qianqian immediately scrambled to her feet. It was only when she moved that she realized how uncomfortable she was. The commotion woke Shinjilia up. When he saw Yi Qianqian's movements, he leaned lazily against the headboard and pulled her over. Yi Qianqian fell into his arms. "Hey, I'm late for work." Yi Qianqian pushed him away, but he tightened his grip on her and said, "I've applied for leave for you. If you don't believe me, check your WeChat." Yi Qianqian picked up her phone and opened WeChat. She immediately saw that the first message was sent to their chief editor. "Sisai, boss, I just came back from Venice last night. I'm still jet-lagged. Let's rest for another day." "Scariest boss, okay. Rest well." Yi Qianqian breathed a sigh of relief. She immediately collapsed onto the bed and nestled herself in Shinjilia's arms. "She scared me to death. If I didn't tell her, who knows how badly she'd scold me later. I've said it now. Don't be afraid. Shenjilia supported her. It's time to get up. If you continue to sleep, you won't be able to sleep again tonight. Yeah. I'm going to nap a little longer. Yi Qianqian was naked. She pulled up the blanket and closed her eyes. Shenjilia, on the other hand, wasn't so well behaved. His hands were all over the place. Yi Qianqian was still in a daze. She pressed his hand under her body and said, "Stop it. Go to sleep. What do you want to eat?" "I don't want to eat." "Shut up." Shenjilia calmed down. He held her in his arms and closed his eyes. Both of them slept until noon, and it was almost lunchtime before they got up together. After washing up, Yi Qianqian's entire body ached. She leaned lazily on the sofa, unwilling to move. "What would you like to eat?" Shenjilia sat down beside her. "Shall we go out to eat?" "I don't want to move." Yi Qianqian was paralyzed even more. She rested her leg on his. "You can order takeout. I'm not very hungry. My legs are sore. I'll rub. Here. A little higher. Here. Go down a little. Here. Yes, and my hands and back." Shenjilia gave her a massage and looked at her neck. It was covered with the marks that he had left behind, and it looked somewhat hideous. Yet, he found it pleasing to the eye. He rubbed her back contentedly, and his mind began to fantasize about the future. Last night, he had deliberately delayed the time. What if she was really pregnant? When that happened, Yi Qianqian wouldn't be able to leave even if she wanted to. Yi Qianqian leaned back on the sofa and looked at the expression on his face. She asked suspiciously, "What are you thinking about?" Such a sinister expression. Shenjilia felt that his naughty thoughts had been exposed, and he immediately became alert. He coughed lightly. "What are you thinking about? You have such a handsome face. How is it sinister?" Chapter 1722. Tui. Shameless. As Shenjilia pinched it, he leaned over and said, "If I wasn't handsome, would you have taken a fancy to me?" "TSK, I haven't eaten yet." "Don't disgust me. What do you want to eat?" "Anything." Yi Qianqian narrowed her eyes. Just as she said that, her cell phone rang. She glanced at the phone and saw that it was Yi Yuyu. Ever since Yi Yuyu had gotten together with Li Jinnan, she had been living with him. Yi Qianqian was envious of Yi Yuyu. She picked up the phone and answered, "Hello? Sister, are you back in Kingstown? I just arrived last night." "What's up?" "Well, I'm going back to my hometown tomorrow. Come with me. Anan has to go home to discuss the wedding with Dad and the guests. I think it'll be better if you're there." Yi Yuyu's belly was growing bigger by the day. The wedding, which was originally scheduled for November, had already begun to take care of the details. By the time November rolled around, Yi Yuyu's belly would be 4 months pregnant. It would be difficult to hide a 4-month pregnant belly. Well, Yi Qianqian wanted to go, but when she recalled that she hadn't been to work for so many days, she declined. Yi Yuyu was a little disappointed. After hanging up, she got up and walked around. Her morning sickness had subsided, but her legs were getting sore. She went to lift the lid of the rice to cool it down. After Yi Yuyu brought the dishes out, the doorbell rang. She looked at the time. It was exactly 12:30 p.m. When she opened the door, Li Jinnan's face appeared in front of her. Yi Yuyu broke into a smile. "You're back." Li Jinnan took a step forward and gently wrapped his arm around her shoulders. He planted a gentle kiss on her forehead. "Yeah. What are we having today?" "Crispy fried pork ribs and steamed sen fu bao." And soup." Li Jinnan walked in with his arm around her and closed the door. "I'd better call Auntie Zhang back. You're working too hard. I have nothing to do at home every day, so all I can do is cook. In the afternoon, I'll look at the wedding decorations. It's not hard at all." Li Jinan washed his hands helplessly, but his face was filled with happiness. You've worked hard, wifey. Yi Yu smiled sweetly. She scooped some rice for him and placed it in front of him. Li Jinan picked up his chopsticks. As he picked up some food, he said, Mom wants you to stay at home. That way, you'll have someone to take care of you while you're pregnant. Yi Yu paused in the act of eating. Stay at home? Old mansion? Yes, Dad has retired recently and has nothing to do at home. Mom has lost a lot of freedom, so I can only ask you to go back to accompany her. I don't think it's a good idea. Isn't your sister-in-law also pregnant? She should be more than 4 months pregnant now. Is she living at home? No. But Nanny Rong is at Yushio's place, and the 2 kids are very smart and know how to take care of their mother. You are always home alone, so you will be bored. Yi Yu had been struggling lately, especially when she couldn't wake up in the morning. She hadn't even made breakfast. Other than designing the wedding layout, he spent the rest of the afternoon sleeping. When it was past 4 o'clock, she forced herself to buy groceries and cook so that Li Jinan could have a hot meal when he returned. It was indeed a little tiring, but staying at the old mansion. Chapter 1723. No. Stay at home. It's best if you move back to the old mansion. Mom can stay at home and accompany Grandpa. Yi Yu shook her head. I'm not going. Your mom doesn't like me. That's not true. Li Jinan slowly ate his meal. At that time, we weren't married yet, so she wouldn't agree no matter what. Now that we're married, and we're even pregnant with a grandson, how could she not like you? I don't like you. If that's the case, it can't be considered as liking. I'm just passively accepting it. In any case, I'm not going. Yi Yu was traumatized by Qin Shuhua. Especially the last time she had said to her face that not only was she married, but she had also been in prison. How could she want a girl like that? Although Yi Yu didn't say it out loud, she still minded what she had said. Li Jinan naturally knew that as well. Yeah, up to you. Yi Yu replied, I'll go back to the old mansion when I'm a little older. Why don't you wait until after the wedding? There's still 2 more months. That's enough time for me to do some mental work for my mom. Yi Yu couldn't help but nod her head. 2 months wasn't a long time, but it wasn't short either. Yi Yu's belly swelled up as if it had been inflated. It had been 4 months. As long as she wore loose clothes, it wouldn't be obvious. But her face had obviously put on some weight. Her cheeks had become round, and her complexion was rosy and tender. Her skin was especially good. When she woke up early in the morning, she had to get her makeup done. Yi Yu was so sleepy that she dozed off as she did her makeup. Li Jinan had spent a lot of money on the wedding. A row of luxury cars stretched from the front of the town to the back. Almost everyone in Yuntown had come to join in the fun. Fang Tongtong was at Yi Qianqian's house. When she saw Yi Qianqian and Yi Yu, her face was full of envy. She said, You're so lucky. All the men you find are so outstanding. Ah. When will it be my turn? Yi Yu was dozing off. Yi Qianqian was beside her. As she arranged the bouquet, she said with a look of disdain, The world is fair. Everything depends on looks. When Fang Tongtong heard that, she was immediately unhappy. She glared at her and said, How can you be like that? Bestie? Humph. How unkind. As she spoke, she looked around. Where's your boyfriend? He didn't come. Yi Qianqian glanced at her. My sister is getting married. Why would she come to the bride's room? Of course, she's in Kingstown. Haha, I thought he'd be with you. I see that he's very attached to you. He asks about you every second he doesn't see you. Sigh, he's so handsome and so affectionate. Yi Qianqian, you're really lucky. Yi Qianqian was even more disgusted. What kind of taste do you have? Is Shinjilia handsome? F***ck, you don't know how lucky you are. You have no idea how many people in the town envied you. But now, I think they'll be even more envious of your sister. Look at how generous she is. Yi Qianqian tied up the bouquet. When she heard that, she felt a little strange. I'm not envious of her anymore. I'm envious of Yu. Is it because of Li Jinnan's extravagance? However, Li Jinnan was indeed very rich. Based on the luxury cars and the extravagant decorations of the wedding, Shenjilie reckoned that it would be hard for him to keep up. Chapter 1724. Yi Yu woke up with a start. She looked at Yi Qianqian with sleepy eyes and asked, "Are you here? Can I go home and sleep now?" Fang Tongtong laughed out loud. "No, but your man is indeed arriving soon. Get up and get the makeup artist to touch up your makeup." "Oh." Yi Yu sat down and felt much more energetic. Yi Qianqian stuffed the bouquet into Yi Yu's hands. Then, the phone on the dresser rang. It was Shenjilie. It was past 8 in the morning. Shenjilie had probably just woken up. "Hello? Has the wedding carriage set off?" "No, the groom hasn't arrived yet." "Oh, when are you coming back?" "You've been gone for 3 days." Shenjilie sounded a little aggrieved. "I can only eat takeout when you're not around." "Poor thing." Fang Tongtong leaned over. "Is it your boyfriend again?" Yi Qianqian couldn't help but smile. She flung Fang Tongtong aside and said, "What do you mean by again?" It's only been a few days, and you've made more than a dozen calls a day. If you tie them together, I'll just count you 2. There was a hint of jealousy in Fang Tongtong's voice as she yelled into the phone, "Do you know that you're a good-for-nothing when you're so clingy to women?" Shenjilie smiled when he heard that. "What do you mean by promising?" "Having a woman is already very promising." When Fang Tongtong heard some of it, she was so envious and jealous that she was about to go crazy. "Oh my God, Yi Qianqian, you're so lucky." Yi Qianqian pushed her away. "Go away. Don't cause trouble." Then he took the phone and went to the side to make a call. Shenjilie laughed. "She's your best friend, isn't she? She's quite fun to play with. Isn't that so? It's just that he's too otaku. His circle is too small, so it's hard for him to get a girlfriend. Bring her to the wedding later. Li Jinnan's friends are all famous people in the business world or artists from his company. Let her pick a few." "Pick a few? Do you think she's a god?" "She doesn't like the good ones, and she doesn't like the bad ones either." "Sigh, Yu is pregnant. You have to look after her. By the way, I have good news for you." "What?" Shenjilie smiled mysteriously. "I won't tell you now. I'll tell you when you get home tonight." "What? Why are you being so mysterious?" "Guess." Yi Qianqian thought about it, but she still couldn't figure out what good news he had for him to keep her in suspense. "The groom is here," Fang Tongtong shouted. Yi Qianqian looked out the window. When she saw the luxury cars approaching, she said, "Let's not talk about this anymore. The bride is here." "Okay, see you later." Bye-bye." "I missed you," Shenjilie said softly. Yi Qianqian was caught off guard. Her heart skipped a beat, but she quickly pursed her lips and smiled quietly. She hung up the phone and hurriedly joined the group of bridal sisters. It was Li Jinnan's first time receiving a bride, so he was a little nervous. She heard that when Lily got married, Yi Qianqian had come up with a lot of bad ideas to make things difficult for Ming. She was mentally prepared. First, he gave her a big red packet and said some nice words. Perhaps it was because Yi Yu was pregnant, but unexpectedly, Yi Qianqian didn't make things difficult for him. She quickly released the bride. Yi Yu was led out by Yi Zhenhua. She walked gently, but every step she took seemed to step on Li Jinnan's heart. Chapter 1725. Li Jinnan nodded. I will, Dad. In fact, Li Jinnan had already changed the way he addressed him, but at this time, the meaning of Dad was completely different. Yi Zhenhua chuckled. His face was full of emotion. He nodded again and again. Then, he put his daughter's hand in Li Jinnan's and turned to Yi Yuyu. Remember to come home often. Although Yi Yuyu had been married twice, in her previous marriage, other than a marriage certificate, there was no other wedding ceremony, wedding photos, relatives, or anything else. This was the first time she had been treated so seriously. Yi Yuyu's eyes were burning, and her heart was warm. She looked at Yi Zhenhua and nodded. Yi Zhenhua patted Li Jinnan on the shoulder. Go. Li Jinnan nodded and held Yi Yuyu's hand as they walked toward the wedding car. Yi Qianqian watched from the side, and her eyes couldn't help but turn red. Yi Zhenhua was old. His hair had turned white, and his back was hunched. He looked very old. Yi Qianqian walked forward and held Yi Zhenhua's hand. Dad, I'm still here. Yi Zhenhua smiled. You'll get married sooner or later. Jilia is a good guy. I guess you'll be taken away by him soon. Humph, it won't be that easy. I don't want to get married so soon. It's boring. You're already 26, and Jilia is 27. The age gap between the two of you isn't that big. However, a man is a flower in his 30s, but a woman is a different story. You still have to hurry up. No. I want to get married when I'm 28. I've been with Jilia for less than 3 months. If I get married, wouldn't it be a flash marriage? What if he doesn't cherish me? Yi Zhenhua thought about it and nodded his head. That's true. We shouldn't rush it. It won't be too late to get married after 2 years. Yeah. Yi Qianqian was very proud. The best time to be in a relationship is 2 to 3 years. At that time, it's time to get married. If we get married too early, it'll be a divorce in the future. That'll be terrible. Yi Zhenhua glared at her reproachfully. Don't speak so soon. I can tell that Jilia is serious about you. If you really don't like him, don't hold him back. Of course not. If I didn't like him, I wouldn't have dated him. I just don't want to get married. Yi Qianqian waved her hand. Dad, don't bother yourself with our trivial matters. Yi Zhenhua looked on helplessly. It's good that you have your own ideas. With that, he walked in. Fang Tongtong walked forward and nudged Yi Qianqian. She said, You've only been dating him for 3 months. I thought the two of you had been dating for a long time. It's no wonder. 3 months is still a fresh period of love. No wonder he's so attached to you. Yeah. In truth, Yi Qianqian didn't feel very safe around him. She had seen this kind of situation many times. In the beginning, a man would always have that kind of impulse towards a woman, but when that impulse passed, the feelings would slowly fade. Since the two of you have been together for so long, have you done that? Fang Tongtong smiled suggestively and nudged her. Yi Qianqian pretended not to understand. What? That. I don't know what you're talking about. Chapter 1726. That's impossible. Yi Qianqian glanced at her. I know what I'm doing. When she was with Shenjilia, she would never do it with him unless he wore a condom. That was her principle. During this period, she had a tight control over the pace. She refused to do it during the 2 days before and after her period. She refused to do it during the dangerous period, so there was no chance of getting pregnant. This was her responsibility to herself, and also to him. When Fang Tongtong saw Yi Qianqian's expression, she became even more envious. If you can have a man with such a strong personality, why can't I? Because you're ugly. Fang Tongtong almost jumped up and strangled her. Get lost. Yi Qianqian laughed out loud. Let's go to Kingstown. Yi Yuyu's wedding was very grand. It was not only a happy occasion for Li Jinnan, but it was also a happy occasion for the entire Li family. Many high-ranking officials and dignitaries came just for the sake of old Master Li Sun's reputation. As a result, they received a lot of gifts. Because many of the guests were elders, Li Jinnan had to personally welcome them to show his courtesy as a junior. Because Yi Yuyu was pregnant, Li Jinnan chased her in after standing outside for a while. Li Xicheng and his family arrived late. Li Mosen and Li Jianyue walked side by side. One was calm and quiet like a little adult, while the other was lively and innocent. Li Jianxian, who had just returned from the capital for the summer break, held Su Qianxi's hand and walked slowly. As he walked, his eyes were fixed on his mother's stomach. Li Xicheng held his wife's arm. When he saw his son's expression, he said impatiently, "Be careful, or your sister will kick you." When Li Jianyue heard that, she turned her head and blinked. She walked over with a smile and raised her little foot at Li Jianxian. "Big brother, I'm going to kick you." Li Jianxian held her back. "Daddy wasn't talking about you. He was talking about the little sister in Mommy's stomach." "Why? How can you tell it's a little sister?" Li Jianyue widened her eyes and looked closer. "I didn't see a little sister. I only saw Mommy's stomach." Li Jianxian couldn't help but smile. "How can you tell? You have to give birth to it to see." "Oh. Then how did Big Brother know it's a little sister?" "Dad said so." "How did Dad know?" Li Jianyue turned her curious gaze to Li Xicheng. Li Xicheng's expression did not change. He glanced at his daughter and slowly said, "Because Daddy hopes that the little baby in Mommy's belly is a little girl as cute as Ursu." Li Ursu nodded in understanding and said, "But father, didn't you say that we will only know when mother gives birth? What if she gives birth to a little brother? Does Ursu like little boys?" Su Qianxi bent down and touched her daughter's little head. Li Jianyue nodded. "Yeah, Ursu likes little brother. I think little brother will definitely be like Dad and little uncle in the future. He will be a very good brother. Brothers are not one, they are a pair." Li Jinnan came up and rubbed the little girl's fluffy head. Then he looked at Su Qianxi's belly. "Sister-in-law, your belly is growing so fast." Chapter 1727. That kind of thing, just experiencing it once, Su Qianxi could not bear it anymore. If it happened again, she might really go crazy. There won't be a second time. Li Xicheng's tone was very firm. He took his wife's hand and said, "Let's go in." Li Jinnan watched from the side with mixed feelings. It was not easy for Li Xicheng and Su Qianxi to be able to be together now. Li Jinnan was very clear about the twists and turns. Only the people involved would know how difficult it was to achieve such a feat. The guests came and went. Many of them saw the three little guys. Their eyes were shining. They pinched one and hugged the other. At first, the two boys were willing to cooperate. But after 3 times, they immediately ran away. In the end, even Li Jianyue couldn't take it anymore. She hugged her parents' arms and pouted, unwilling to go out. Li Xicheng didn't stop them. Seeing the little girl like that, he smiled and said slowly, "If you don't want to, remember to reject it yourself. Daddy and Mommy can't always help you. Do you know what to do next time you encounter such a situation?" Li Jianyue pouted even higher and said, Those uncles and aunties don't understand us at all. Although I'm a child, my face still hurts. No one will understand you. If you don't reject it, others will only think that you agree. At this time, you should tell them that you don't like it, so please ask them to stop pinching you." The little girl didn't say anything. She pinched the red tablecloth on the table and rubbed it. She pouted and lowered her head. It was obvious that she was depressed. Su Qianxi touched her daughter's little head and took the juice that Li Xicheng had just poured for her. "Ursu, do you want something to drink?" "Yeah." Li Jianyue's eyes immediately lit up and took it with both hands. Li Jianxian and Li Mosen went in to take refuge for a long time. They hid for more than 10 minutes before they dared to come out. They came to Li Jianyue's side in a hurry. When Li Ersu saw them, she was even more unhappy. She swallowed the juice and said loudly, "Big brother is a bad guy. He put me down and left. Big brother Mosen is also a bad guy." Li Jianxian's expression didn't change as he replied, "It's your own fault for not leaving. You're the one at a disadvantage. We're not stupid. Of course, we have to leave." Li Mosen nudged Li Jianxian and said, "Brother Mosen knows his mistake. I'll definitely bring you along next time." Li Jianyue put down the glass of juice and snorted, "There won't be a next time. Next time, I will reject these annoying uncles and aunties. Don't pinch my face again." The little guys did not hide their voices at all. The men and women who had just pinched them were a little embarrassed. Li Mosen pulled her back and said, "Don't speak so loudly." "Why?" Li Jianyue didn't quite understand. Li Jianxian found a chair and sat down. "Don't make a lot of noise in public." "Oh." When Li Jianyue saw this, she ran over and sat down next to Li Jianxian. She placed her chubby little hands on the table and shouted, "Brother Mosen, come and sit." When Li Mosen heard that, he walked over, but Li Jianyue no longer looked at him. Instead, she looked at Li Jianxian and asked, "Brother, is the capital fun? Was Grandpa and Grandma fun?" Chapter 1728. "Oh, are there little girls to play with?" "No, you can't play with little girls." Li Jianxian poured a glass of juice for himself and then poured some for Li Jianyue. "Why are you so perverted? You actually asked your brother to play with little girls." "I'm not perverted." Li Jianyue took the juice, her chubby little face filled with anxiety. "With a little girl like me to play with, I'm sure he won't be bored. After all, I'm so cute. I'm a little princess." Li Jianxian looked disgusted. "A little girl like you is too annoying. I don't want to play with you." Li Jianyue was angry. Her little face puffed up as she said, "How can you say that, brother? It's too impolite." "Do you know what impolite means?" "It means impolite." "Wrong." Li Jianxian threw a look of disdain at Li Jianyue. "Who taught you that?" Li Jianyue was unconvinced. She put her hands on her waist and said, "Brother, you're lying. If that's not what it means, then what does it mean?" "Impolite means losing etiquette. Etiquette is etiquette, and politeness is politeness. Politeness is a basic quality, and etiquette is a personal accomplishment. It's not the same." Li Jianyue didn't understand that. When she heard what Li Jianxian said, she was confused. She looked at Li Jianxian with wide eyes and asked, "Brother, did Grandpa and Grandma teach you this too?" Li Jianxian nodded and said, "Grandma knows a lot. Grandma can also dance, play the piano, and sing. Grandpa taught me archery and horse riding." "Wow." Li Jianyue's eyes lit up. "Brother can even ride a horse in the capital." "Yeah, it's a pony. Grandpa specially bought it for me. He keeps it at the back of the yard. I often ride a horse there. Sometimes the brother next door comes back to play with me. We shoot together, swim together, run together, and compete in other things." It was rare for Li Jianxian to speak so much in one breath. Li Siqing also looked over. However, the little fellow didn't realize that his father was looking at him. He happily shared his life in the capital with his sister and continued, "It's not just about these competitions. We also compete in academic results. During the exam, if I'm not the first, then he's the first. He's very good." "Wow, brother, what brother are you talking about? A brother older than brother?" "Yes, 2 years older than me." "Is that older brother also in the 3rd grade?" "Yes." Li Jianxian nodded, and there was some pride in his eyes. "I am the youngest in our class. I think I can skip a grade next year, Dad." As he spoke, he looked at Li Siqing. "I want to skip a grade." "No." Li Siqing's words stopped all his thoughts. Li Jianxian was a little surprised. At the same time, he was a little unwilling and asked, why? You can study, but you can't skip grades. You're the youngest in your class, but what about your height? Li Jianxian said matter-of-factly, of course, he's the youngest. How's your relationship with your classmates? Li Jianxian choked on his words. He thought for a moment and said, it's fine as long as I have fun with Chu. Why don't the other students play with you? Chapter 1729. Then will those who are taller than you bully you? They won't have the chance because Chu and I are good friends. Li Jianxian looked at Li Sicheng and enunciated each word clearly. Many people in the class admire Chu, and so do I. I am admired by many people. Yeah, so no. Li Jianxian was even more indignant and exclaimed, why? When you can protect yourself, I will allow you to skip a grade. When Li Jianxian heard this, he panicked and shouted, Dad, I can protect myself. No one in the class can beat me. What's the point of bullying a child? Li Sicheng's eyes were full of disdain. I'm a child too. Li Jianxian said confidently. You treat yourself as a child, which proves that you are not mature enough. I won't allow it. Li Jianxian was furious. Dad, you are being unreasonable. Do you know what it means to be unreasonable? When Li Jianxian heard this, he knew that Li Sicheng was setting him up again. Panting with rage, he crossed his arms and turned his head away, not saying a word. Li Jianhua propped her hands on the table and looked at her brother and father with her big round eyes. She said, why can't I skip a grade, Dad? Didn't brother already skip a grade? Yeah, it's because he just skipped a grade, so I won't allow it, Li Sicheng said softly. Everyone needs a process to grow up. You can't stand that they are more childish than you, so you want to skip a grade. Li Jianxian was stunned. These words were indeed true. But he clearly didn't say a word just now. How did Dad know? Li Sicheng knew from his expression and continued, but have you thought about it? If you can't even stand them, how are you going to stand those 5th and 6th graders who are more difficult to deal with than 3rd graders? Are they difficult to deal with? The age of 5th and 6th grade, until the age of 15 or 16, is the age when it is the easiest to be arrogant. It is also the easiest to be blinded by your own thoughts and do something incomprehensible. And you obviously haven't reached that stage. You can't protect yourself. Li Jianxian still didn't quite understand, but he could hear the meaning between the lines. In short, he was doing it for his own good. Li Jianhua still didn't understand. Daddy, does inflating one's ego mean getting fat from eating? Well, you can think of it that way. Oh. Li Jianhua nodded her head. Then, she giggled and said, our teacher said that I've gained weight yesterday. Actually, she was saying that I'm arrogant, right? She laughed out loud, but he looked calm and shook his head. You should lose weight. You can only eat 1 drumstick a day in the future. The smile on Li Jianhua's face fell. She immediately pouted and said, Daddy. Li Sicheng did not look at her and turned his head. Li Jianxian, on the other hand, was not too happy. He said gloomily, Chu is going to skip a grade. I want to skip with him. No. Li Sicheng's voice was calm but firm. Li Jianhua realized that pouting was useless, so she stopped. She turned to look at her brother and asked, Brother, is Brother Chu very powerful? Yes, Chu said that when he grows up, he wants to be a soldier. Chapter 1730. No, Uncle is in the army. Chu said that he wants to be a special forces soldier and a sniper when he grows up. Li Jianhua's eyes lit up. Snipers shoot from the rooftop, right? I know. Great-grandfather told me that snipers are very powerful. They can shoot through a poplar tree within 100 steps. They can also shoot birds on the ground and fish in the water. I heard that they can even survive in the wild. They are very powerful. Su Qianxi couldn't help but smile as she watched her chubby daughter dance. Li Jianxian replied, that's called shooting through a poplar tree. And why would a sniper shoot birds? No one's shooting range is that far. Why would a sniper catch fish? Are you sure it was great-grandfather who told you that? Li Jianrui blinked and thought for a moment before saying, I don't know, Snipers don't shoot birds from the rooftop. They can stand very far away to shoot and control a bad guy. Not just from the rooftop, they can also be in the trees or in the mountains. The Special Forces soldiers are the most elite and the most outstanding among the soldiers who protect the country. Li Jianxian's face was full of yearning. As he spoke, he didn't forget to look at Li Xicheng. Li Jianxian was looking forward to his reaction. Su Qianxi, who had been listening to her son, could see it. Naturally, Li Xicheng could see it too. Li Xicheng glanced at his son and didn't respond. Li Jianxian felt a little uneasy and said, Dad, can I be a soldier when I grow up? Be a soldier? Of course you can. If Li Xiao or Captain Li heard this, they would probably go crazy with joy. Even in their dreams, they wanted their sons to join the army, but Li Jinnan had retired early. What was even worse was that Li Xicheng had never even been in the army. The two old guys were always saying, men of the Li family, men of the Li family. When Li Xicheng heard this, he nodded slightly and said, yes, but you have to change your bad habits first. What bad habits do I have? You don't realize that you have a bad habit. That is a bad habit. Li Xicheng pressed on the top of his head. Today is your uncle's wedding. When we get home, I'll analyze why I said you have a bad habit. Li Jianxian was still looking forward to it, but he was a little disappointed when he heard that. In the end, his gaze fell on the huge wedding photo in the distance. So pretty. Yi Yuyu was dozing off in the bridal room. She was clutching a bouquet of flowers as the makeup artist touched up her makeup. The sister legion was powerful, but they had also gone out to greet the guests. Yi Qianqian looked at Yi Yuyu from inside and sighed. It was really inconvenient to get married while pregnant. While everyone else was busy, Yi Yuyu was secretly dozing off. In front of her, there would definitely be people criticizing the bride for not going to greet the guests. If this became a topic of gossip, she would probably suffer and her husband's family in the future. It's ready. The guests are almost all here. It's almost time. Is the bride ready? When Yi Qianqian heard that, she quickly went forward to pull Yi Yuyu up and said, Oh, my dear bride. This is the only wedding you'll ever have in your life. You should cherish it. Hurry up. Everyone's waiting for you outside. Chapter 1731. Everything was under Li Jinnan's control. As long as nothing happened to her, everything would be fine. Those were Li Jinnan's exact words. Yi Yuyu's heart was bursting with security. After stretching, she slowly walked out. Many people had been invited to the wedding. Sacred music was playing. Surrounded by beautiful women, Yi Yuyu slowly walked the red carpet. Li Jinnan looked at her from afar, and the corners of his lips slowly turned up. Yi Yuyu's figure was voluptuous. Her head was covered with a romantic white veil. Everyone around her was looking at her with envy. Li Jinnan had given her everything she had never enjoyed before. She was happier than anyone else. Yi Qianqian saw Yi Yuyu's blissful expression in the crowd. Her expression was a little complicated. Suddenly, she felt a warmth around her waist, and it tightened. Yi Qianqian jumped in fright. She looked back and saw Shenjilia's face. Shenjilia leaned over and pulled her into his arms. He looked at Yi Yuyu and said, God is fair. Yi Qianqian's emotions calmed down. She turned to look at the happy newlyweds. Yes, the heavens are fair. The amount of suffering one can endure determines the amount of happiness one can receive. Yi Yuyu is worth it. When Shenjilia saw that she didn't speak, he hugged her even tighter and whispered, Are you tired? Yi Qianqian leaned into his embrace and held his hand with both hands. She gently shook her head. I'm just hungry. Let's go get something to eat. They haven't said their vows yet. I'm not going. Let's wait a while. Shenjilia and Yi Qianqian didn't move much, but the people around them couldn't help but look over. Yi Qianqian blushed under the stares. She squeezed Shenjilia's hand. Let go. They're all looking at us. Let them look. It's fine. Shenjilia didn't let go. Instead, he picked her up. The air conditioner is too low. I'm cold. You're shameless. Yi Qianqian felt too embarrassed to face anyone. She lowered her head. Aren't you embarrassed? Why is it embarrassing for me to hug my own woman? Shenjilia buried his face in the crook of her neck. Don't be afraid. It's not like you're hugging someone else's wife. That won't do. What if I change boyfriends in the future? That would be terrible. Shenjilia tightened his grip and said in a low voice, You're so fickle. Do you think I won't bite you? Bah. Go ahead and bite me. Yi Qianqian didn't believe that the man could be so thick-skinned in front of everyone in the hall. The corners of Shenjilia's lips curled up, and he nibbled on her ear. Yi Qianqian exclaimed in surprise. Her exclamation attracted everyone's attention. When she felt the gazes of everyone around her, she was so embarrassed that she wanted to dig a hole in the ground. She gave Shenjilia a hard shove and immediately turned to leave. Shenjilia hurriedly followed her, but Yi Qianqian disappeared into the crowd in no time. Shenjilia smiled. He was actually quite pleased with himself. You want to change boyfriends? No way. I'm willing. When Yi Yuyu finished speaking, the crowd erupted in cheers. Kiss me, kiss me, kiss me. The cheers made the atmosphere so heated that it was easy to empathize with them. Shenjilia looked up and couldn't help but sigh. He muttered to himself, How blissful, you're almost there too, a female voice said. Shenjilia turned his head. It was Fang Tongtong. Fang Tongtong giggled and leaned over. Where's Qianqian? She ran away. Ha ha ha. Why did she run away? You must have done something wrong. But aren't you guys almost there too? Chapter 1732. When Fang Tongtong saw Shenjilia's expression, she understood and asked, Qianqian doesn't want to marry you? Shenjilia wasn't surprised that she knew. Fang Tongtong was Yi Qianqian's best friend. The two of them had grown up wearing the same pair of pants, so they would definitely share their feelings. Shenjilia spread his hands. She's not ready yet. What? Fang Tongtong snorted. What do you mean she's not ready? I know this girl too well. She's still playful. You're her first boyfriend, so she'll definitely want to date a few more. But that's only human nature, don't you think? Fang Tongtong snorted. Shenjilia was speechless. Fang Tongtong stepped forward and grabbed his hand as if her heart was aching for him. She patted it and said, My Qianqian has a straightforward personality. You have to be more tolerant of her. Since she doesn't want to, you can just wait. Ha ha ha. Shenjilia was speechless. He quietly retracted his hand. Okay. I'm going to the bathroom. Fang Tongtong pursed her lips and didn't say anything. She looked at Shenjilia's tall and straight back and felt a little regretful. How could such an outstanding man be picked up by that girl Yi Qianqian? After Yi Qianqian emerged from the crowd, she went to the bathroom. When she came out, she happened to bump into Fang Tongtong. When Fang Tongtong saw her, she seemed a little surprised and said, So you're here. Your boyfriend is looking for you. Ignore him. Yi Qianqian yawned. I'm so sleepy. I woke up too early. Oh. Did you guys quarrel? No. Why do you ask? Nothing. Ha ha ha. Then why are you ignoring him? Forget it. I'm going to the bathroom. Fang Tongtong hugged her stomach and headed for the bathroom. Yi Qianqian didn't mind. When she walked out, she saw Su Qianxi. Su Qianxi's stomach looked a little big. Li Xiqing was beside her. They chatted and smiled. He was handsome and she was beautiful. Yi Qianqian was envious. They were a natural match. When she saw Yi Qianqian, Su Qianxi waved at her. Yi Qianqian smiled back as a greeting. It couldn't be helped. They weren't familiar. The main stage was Yi Yuyu and Li Jinnan. After Yi Qianqian finished her meal, she was exhausted. Shenjilia could tell that and said, "Let's go back first. You woke up so early in the morning. Don't tire yourself out." Yi Qianqian was full. She leaned on Shenjilia and yawned. "Yeah. But today is my sister's wedding. Your sister is getting married, not you. Your sister has already left. I'll go take a look. I don't think I need your help anymore. If you don't need it, we'll leave." "Okay, then I'll go to the bathroom." "Again? Didn't you just go there?" "Maybe my kidneys are weak." Yi Qianqian laughed to herself. She got up and headed to the bathroom. Shenjilia didn't know what to say. He looked at it for a moment, and after confirming that there was nothing he could do to help, he bade farewell to Li Jinnan and left. After Yi Qianqian went to the bathroom, she sent a message to Fang Tongtong. The gist of it was that she was leaving first and that Fang Tongtong should be careful. However, Fang Tongtong sent him a few question marks the moment he sent it. "Tongtong of the 900 million maiden dreams, ah. I was planning to stay at your place tonight. You're going back now?" "Zixixi, yeah, my dad is going back to Yuntown later. You can go with him." "Tongtong of the 900 million maiden dreams, I'm going to play in Kingstown for a few days. Bring me along. If I don't stay with you, I'll have to stay in a hotel." Chapter 1733. "Tong, I remember you have an empty room at your place. Hee, it's mine for the next few days." She didn't really want Fang Tongtong to move in. After all, they were a couple. It would be inconvenient for a single girl to suddenly move in. But since Fang Tongtong had already said so, Yi Qianqian couldn't refuse. "Zixixi, fine. Where are you?" "I'll wait for you at the entrance of the hotel." Tongtong with 900 million maiden dreams, Occasion Gilia had driven there himself. He picked up the two girls from his car and drove in the direction of his home. Once Fang Tongtong got into the car, she lay down in the back seat and wailed, "I'm so tired." "Oh my God, I'll probably be even more tired when you get married." "Ah." When Shenjilia heard that, he glanced at her through the rearview mirror and frowned. Yi Qianqian leaned against the side and chuckled when she heard that. "You won't die of exhaustion. When you find a partner, I'll be as tired as you unless you're not getting married." "That won't do. I have to get married. Sigh, I just don't have a partner." Fang Tongtong scratched her head. "Oh, Shen, do you have any outstanding young men around you? Introduce them to me." "I do have outstanding ones, but there aren't many unmarried doctors at our age." "Are all the people you know doctors?" "Yes, colleagues." "Do you have any other types?" "Doctors seem to be too busy. They don't stay at home all day and are often busy with surgeries." Yi Qianqian laughed out loud. "You're overthinking things. This guy only knows psychiatrists, pharmacologists, and scientists. Psychiatrists have nothing to do all day. He has nothing to do all day, so he just hangs around." Fang Tongtong nodded. "That's fine. Okay. I'll keep an eye out for you later," Shenjilia replied casually. He stared ahead and drove steadily. Yi Qianqian could tell that Shenjilia wasn't in a good mood. She glanced at him and asked, "Are you in a bad mood?" "No, I'm just thinking about some things," Shenjilia replied without looking at Yi Qianqian. Yi Qianqian felt a little strange. Shenjilia rarely acted like this. A pair of eyes stared straight at him. Shenjilia seemed to feel it too. He looked over and raised his eyebrows slightly. Yi Qianqian looked away in disgust and closed her eyes. By the time he got home, Yi Qianqian had already slept for quite some time. Fang Tongtong woke her up with a roar. "We're home." Yi Qianqian was shocked and looked around. Shenjilia frowned in displeasure. "Why are you bothering her?" Fang Tongtong stuck out her tongue. "You'll spoil her like this. You'll be the one to suffer in the future." Shenjilia went to the front passenger seat to open the door and let Yi Qianqian in. When she heard Fang Tongtong's words, she pursed her lips and said, "It's best if I'm the one who suffers." When Fang Tongtong heard that, she couldn't take it anymore. She clutched her chest and said, "Oh my God. You're such a great boyfriend. Qianqian, you better cherish him." Yi Qianqian was so sleepy that she couldn't open her eyes. When she heard Fang Tongtong's loud voice, she also looked sleepy. "I'm sleepy." Shenjilia supported her as they walked inside. Yi Qianqian stumbled as she walked. Shenjilia picked her up and pressed the elevator button. "TSK. You're so strong. Did Shen train before? He likes to work out when he's free. He's very strong." Yi Qianqian leaned against him without a hint of guilt. Chapter 1734. Shenjilia's lips tightened. He quickly walked into the elevator and went in first. "Which floor?" Fang Tongtong walked in and reached out to press the doorbell. Shenjilia didn't say a word. He pressed the button and went up. His expression didn't look too good, and he didn't say a word. He held Yi Qianqian in his arms and stared at the reflective surface of the elevator door. Yi Qianqian wasn't the only one. Even Fang Tongtong could tell that the man was a little unhappy. Could it be because of what I said before? Fang Tongtong felt that it was very possible. She glanced at Shenjilia and felt guilty. Yi Qianqian could clearly sense Fang Tongtong's expression. She pursed her lips and narrowed her eyes, pretending not to see anything. Ding! The elevator arrived at the station. Shenjilia carried Yi Qianqian out first, and Fang Tongtong naturally lagged behind. After Yi Qianqian was put down, Shenjilia opened the door, turned on the lights, and walked in. Yi Qianqian turned her head and said, "Come in." Fang Tongtong stuck out her tongue and quickly caught up to her. She whispered, "Is your boyfriend unhappy?" "Looks like it. He might be in a bad mood." "Why?" "Who knows? It's always like this. It's always strange." Fang Tongtong looked a little uneasy and said, "It can't be because of me, can it? Does he not welcome me staying at your place? Why don't I find a hotel to sleep in?" Yi Qianqian's expression didn't look too good. She angrily said, "Why would you find a hotel? Just sleep here. He's not such a petty person. There must be something else. It's not because of you. Come in." Fang Tongtong shook her head. "Forget it. I'd better leave." Fang Tongtong. Yi Qianqian was furious. She reached out and pulled her in before closing the door. Fang Tongtong was pulled in. The first thing she did was look for Shenjilia. "Where is he?" Yi Qianqian didn't notice that she was looking for him. She asked, "Are you taking a shower?" I didn't bring any clothes. Do you have any?" Fang Tongtong was still wearing her bridesmaid's outfit. It was a pretty little gauze gown with silicone patches underneath. It was a last-minute decision to stay in Kingstown, so there was no change of clothes. "I do, but I've worn them all before. I don't have any new underwear." Yi Qianqian glanced at her. "I can get you a set of pajamas. It doesn't matter. It's not like I didn't wash it. Just wear it again." "No, I have a boyfriend. You can wear pajamas, but not underwear." Yi Qianqian had always been straightforward, so Fang Tongtong immediately understood what she meant. She nodded her head and didn't say anything. When Yi Qianqian walked into her room, she immediately saw Shenjilia standing by the window. When Yi Qianqian saw Shenjilia, she couldn't help but feel angry. Yi Qianqian closed the door and walked up to him. She placed her hand on his shoulder and asked, "What's the meaning of this?" "My best friend is staying at our place for a few days. Why are you giving her such a dirty look?" Shenjilia turned around and looked at Yi Qianqian's obviously unhappy face. He pursed his lips and said, "I think that your best friend doesn't know how to conduct herself. How could she just stay at someone else's place like that? Even if you're her best friend, you have no boundaries at all." More importantly, she had pretended not to know anything about what she had said to him in the hotel. This made Shenjilia feel a little disgusted. He was a psychologist, so he could vaguely guess what Fang Tongtong was thinking. Chapter 1735. Based on normal human psychology, Fang Tongtong's expression was one of extreme envy toward Yi Qianqian. While she was envious of Yi Qianqian, she also had an indescribable admiration for Shenjilia. Under such circumstances, she had decided to move in at the last minute. How much of it was really just to have fun? Shenjilia didn't want to speculate about others with ill intentions, but based on the current situation, it was difficult for him to have a good impression of Fang Tongtong. Yi Qianqian didn't know what Shenjilia was thinking. When she heard what he said, she laughed and said, "It's because we have a good relationship. We grew up wearing the same pair of pants. It's not a big deal to just have fun." However, this last-minute decision was indeed a little sudden. "I'll reprimand her later, but since she's already here, we can't just chase her away, can we?" Shenjilia pursed his lips and didn't say a word. Yi Qianqian gently pushed him and said, "No matter what, she's my best friend. You should at least give her some face. It's not good to be a bad person just because you want to be." Shenjilia looked at Yi Qianqian's face and sighed softly. He reached out and touched her cheek. "All right then. When can she leave? With her here, we can't have a world of just the two of us." A world of just the two of us. Yi Qianqian used to think that those words were a symbol of happiness, but now that she heard them come out of Shenjilia's mouth, why did they sound so dirty? Her cheeks turned red. She glared at him and said, "I knew you weren't such a petty person. So that's what you were worried about?" Shenjilia raised his eyebrows slightly and didn't comment. "I don't think she'll stay for long. She still has a shop to look after. Her mother won't help her." "Don't worry." Shenjilia's heart calmed down. He lowered his head and kissed her lips gently. "That's good." Yi Qianqian instinctively turned to look, but Shenjilia immediately hugged her and kissed her lips again, deepening the kiss. It had been a few days. Yi Qianqian had been accompanying Yi Yuyu to her wedding. Li Jinan couldn't see Yi Yuyu, and Shenjilia couldn't see Yi Qianqian either. Only God knew how he had survived the past few days. Now that there was an uninvited guest in the house, he would have to behave himself for a few more days. Yi Qianqian missed him dearly, too. She hugged him and responded gently, but she didn't forget to glance at the door. Yi Qianqian did not close the door. She was afraid that Fang Tongtong would see them. It would be a sin to hurt Fang Tongtong, who was single. Shenjilia immediately saw through her intentions. He turned her around in his arms and pinned her down on the bed. "Mm. Mm." Yi Qianqian resisted and pushed him away. "Qianqian, aren't you looking for clothes for me? Haven't you found it yet?" Fang Tongtong's loud voice could be heard, and it was getting closer and closer. Yi Qianqian struggled even harder, and Shenjilia released her. Yi Qianqian immediately wiped her mouth and shouted, "I'm coming." Fang Tongtong walked in and immediately saw Shenjilia standing by the bed. His clothes were a little disheveled. Yi Qianqian, on the other hand, was rummaging through her wardrobe. After searching for something, she said, "There's a new one. I haven't worn this before." As he spoke, he stuffed it into Fang Tongtong's hand and slowly pushed her out. Chapter 1736. Bah! What can I do? You're the only one who's full of drama. Yi Qianqian pushed her away and said in a low voice, "Don't come into our room for no reason in the future." He doesn't like it. Fang Tongtong understood, but she was still a little unhappy. She said, "Isn't this your apartment? Your boyfriend is only staying here temporarily, right? What do you mean mine or his? We live together, so it's ours." Yi Qianqian disagreed. "His car is still his. I'm still sitting in it. How can that be the same? It's basic for a man to have a car and a house. Your boyfriend doesn't have a house and is still living here. I want to go in but you don't let me." "Why?" Fang Tongtong's voice wasn't loud. Only Yi Qianqian and Fang Tongtong could hear her. "Don't tell me you're planning to use this as a marital home? That won't do. I'll be the first to disagree. That's impossible. I don't want to get married yet. What's the rush? Aren't you going to take a shower? Hurry up." Fang Tongtong clutched the underwear in her hand and asked, "Where are my pajamas?" "I don't have any." "Wait here." Yi Qianqian turned around and dashed into the room. He rummaged through the wardrobe and took out a set of pajamas that she didn't usually wear and said, "Here." So ugly. Did you buy it? The aesthetics of a straight man. Old Shen bought it. I don't really wear it, so you can put up with it for now. Tomorrow after work, we'll go shopping and buy a few more sets. Pfft. All right then. That's the aesthetic of a straight man. Fang Tongtong took it and quickly entered the bathroom. However, he held the pajamas that Yi Qianqian had just handed to him with both hands and compared them in the mirror. It seemed not bad. Yi Qianqian finally finished serving Fang Tongtong and returned to her room to remove her makeup. Shenjilia was sitting on the edge of the bed with a cell phone in his hand. It looked like he was chatting on WeChat. Yi Qianqian glanced at him and casually asked, "Are you busy at work?" "More or less." Shenjilia looked down at his phone and typed, "Still working?" "No, I'm chatting with Luo Ran." Shenjilia switched off the screen. "Is she taking a shower?" "Yes. I'll go pack up the gym equipment. You can ask her to sleep there later." Shenjilia stood up and went to his room. Ever since Shenjilia and Yi Qianqian shared the same room, Shenjilia had converted the guest bedroom into a mini gym. The tools were a little crude, but they had everything a man needed to train his muscles. There were still a lot of things. When Shenjilia walked in and picked up his phone again, he saw that Luo Ran had replied to a few voice messages. Luo Ran's voice came through. "I think you're thinking too much. If you don't like that girl, just stay away from her. But she's your girlfriend's best friend, so don't make things too awkward. Besides, isn't this a good thing for you? You can show off your skills in front of your best friend. Didn't you say that your girlfriend didn't want to marry you? Have you heard of this saying? If you want to settle a woman, you have to settle her best friend first. Look, once your best friend is settled, all you have to do is get some air and everything will be settled. You're so wary of a girl and you're still acting like a bad guy. Who wouldn't have a problem with that? You can't play like this. No matter what, you should build a good relationship with her." Chapter 1737. Luo Ran sent a series of voice messages, and Shenjilia felt that it made sense. When it came to this matter, Luo Ran was the expert. In the capital, Luo Ran was also a well-known relationship expert and friend of women. After thinking about it, Shenjilia replied, "Well, it takes two hands to clap." Luo Ran replied, "Isn't it over? If you serve the girl well, are you afraid that you can't handle your girlfriend?" Shenjilia was convinced. At that moment, he felt that he was a little paranoid. He sent Luo Ran a goodbye message and began to exercise. These sports equipment were added during the time that Shenjilia moved in. It wasn't a lot, but it wasn't a small amount either. After moving for about 10 minutes, he finally emptied the space near the bed. "Qianqian, you can put the quilt that you washed previously." "It's done," Shenjilia said. At the same time, he heard the bathroom door open. Fang Tongtong's wet hair draped over her shoulders. Her thin pajamas were soaked, and Shenjilia could vaguely see something that he shouldn't have seen. Shenjilia was shocked. He immediately looked away and turned to enter his room. When he turned his head, he realized that she was wearing the pajamas that he had bought for Yi Qianqian. The silk pajamas were expensive. Moreover, the pajamas were chosen by his grandmother. Shenjilia had bought them after she sent him a picture. Why was Fang Tongtong wearing them now? Shenjilia frowned and couldn't help but turn his head to take another look. The light green silk pajamas had been left there for a while, and there were some creases on them. It was the set that his grandmother had chosen. Yi Qianqian saw it and tugged at Shenjilia. What are you looking at? When Fang Tongtong heard that, she also turned her head to look. Yi Qianqian saw the look on her face and said, "Don't you know how to dry your hair? Here." She threw a dry towel at Fang Tongtong. Fang Tongtong took the towel and put it on her head. Shenjilia's lips tightened. He turned around and didn't say anything. After flipping through his clothes, Shenjilia quickly entered the bathroom. However, Fang Tongtong's clothes were hung in the place where they used to hang their clean clothes, and the dirty clothes basket was empty. Shenjilia's expression darkened. He picked up her clothes and threw them into the dirty clothes basket. But just as she picked up a dress, a strapless bra fell out. Looking at the cup size, it was a little bigger than Yi Qianqian's. No, double. Twice. Shenjilia stared at it blankly for a moment before using the dress as a cushion to toss it into the laundry basket. But halfway through, he changed his mind and threw it into the wash basin. The sound of running water could be heard from the bathroom. When Yi Qianqian heard it, she glared at Fang Tongtong and asked, "Are you still wet? You didn't use a towel?" "No. I don't know which one is yours, so I didn't use it." Fang Tongtong appeared to be in a good mood. As she dried her hair, she said, "But your house is pretty clean. I thought you'd make a mess out of it. Old Shen took care of it." Yi Qianqian was in a good mood. She replied, "I'm getting lazier and lazier. Old Shen loves cleanliness. When he's free, he cleans up the room and cooks." "Damn, you're too lucky. How did you manage to make him so obedient?" The corners of Yi Qianqian's lips turned up. She couldn't hide the smile on her face as she said, "Perhaps, he really likes me." Chapter 1738. Yi Qianqian knew that Fang Tongtong would say that. Ever since they got to know each other, Fang Tongtong seemed to be envious of her. Everyone had their vanity, especially in front of their best friend. Fang Tongtong had very high standards. Yi Qianqian was extremely pleased to receive such affirmation from her. The corners of his lips curled up as he said happily, "You can also find a man who can give you happiness." Sigh. Fang Tongtong sighed. "How can I be so lucky? Outstanding and devoted men are as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns these days. It's really not that easy to find one. You're lucky to have met old Shen. Someone like me might have to stay single for the rest of my life." "Of course not. Don't be so pessimistic. It's fine as long as it's fated." Fang Tongtong sniffled. With an aggrieved look on her face, she said, "I think I might really have to. People like me aren't good-looking, have high standards, and are incapable. You, Qianqian, sometimes I really envy you. You're pretty and capable. You're able to establish yourself in Kingstown and have a good income. You're amazing. Bah, you just haven't tried it yet. You can try it too." Yi Qianqian had always felt that it was a waste of Fang Tongtong's talent to hide in the tiny Yun town. When Fang Tongtong heard that, she smirked. "Am I right? You think so too? Pretend I didn't say anything. Ha ha ha. But you really look like your sister. That Xia Yilan has been bad-mouthing you all day in town, saying that you're half-hearted and brought back so many men. It was only when your sister got married that she found out that the people she saw were actually your sister and brother-in-law. I'm dying of laughter. What a slap in the face. So, she really did see it. It's just that the person who saw it wasn't me. I get it. This rumor-mongering mouth should be punished. By the way, are you and your boyfriend going to work tomorrow? Where am I going to play alone? Are there any fun places in Kingstown? Oh. Yi Qianqian blinked her eyes. Didn't you want to come to Kingstown to play? I've already prepared a strategy for you. When do you get off work? 6:00 in the afternoon. Where's Shen? His working hours are more flexible. I don't know when he gets off work. Anyway, I can have dinner at home every day. Old Shen even knows how to cook. Wow, you're so lucky. Fang Tongtong's face was full of envy, jealousy, and hatred. This won't do. I must try old Shen's cooking tomorrow. Then I'll go play by myself tomorrow. When you get off work, let's go shopping after dinner, okay? Okay, sure. You sleep first. I'm going to take a shower. Yes. Go ahead. Fang Tongtong waved her hand and smiled like a blooming flower. After Yi Qianqian left, Fang Tongtong turned around and looked at the large mirror that Shenjilia used when he worked out. His face was fair and tender with some baby fat. He looked younger than his actual age. Unlike Yi Qianqian's delicate features, she had a round and chubby baby face. Actually, he wasn't that bad looking. Why was her luck so good? But she was. Fang Tongtong had always felt that God was unfair. They were both hard-working, and she was obviously younger and more promising. However, the adults in town had never praised her. Fang Tongtong's heart sank bit by bit. She was in low spirits. She looked at the decorations around her. They were very masculine, and her heartbeat inexplicably quickened. Chapter 1739. Bah. This was Yi Qianqian's boyfriend. No matter what, she couldn't steal her best friend's boyfriend. Fang Tongtong slapped her face and shook her head forcefully. She took a deep breath and muttered to herself, "Wake up. You can play by yourself tomorrow. Go to sleep." With that, Fang Tongtong wrapped herself in the blanket and lay down. However, she couldn't help but open her eyes and look at her surroundings. It was a dark environment, and the surroundings were filled with heavy fitness equipment. Only a real man would truly like these cold and heavy things. She didn't expect Shenjilia to be so manly despite his skinny appearance. Indeed, one couldn't judge a man by his appearance. Fang Tongtong closed her eyes, and the corners of her lips curled up slightly. After Yi Qianqian finished showering, she returned to her room. Shenjilia was sitting in front of the computer with a large stack of documents. It looked like he was looking at medical records. Yi Qianqian walked over while drying her hair. She sat down on the bed and looked at the computer. "Are you still busy?" Shenjilia turned around and looked at Yi Qianqian. He looked unhappy and said, "Why did you give that set of pajamas to your best friend?" Yi Qianqian was stunned for a moment and said, "Because she didn't bring any clothes. Out of all my clothes, that was the only set that I wore less, so, that was picked out by my grandmother. No matter what, you shouldn't have given it to someone else to wear." Yi Qianqian frowned and was a little unhappy. "Isn't it just a set of pajamas? Why are you so stingy?" Shenjilia's expression darkened. He said, "This set of pajamas has a different meaning. It's the first gift my grandmother gave you. No matter how much you dislike it, it's your business to keep it as a secret. But you gave it away just like that. If my grandmother found out, do you know what she would think?" His words were so serious that Yi Qianqian's expression darkened. She stopped drying her hair and said, "She's my best friend. She's my best friend since I was young. When I was at my poorest in school, if it weren't for her, I wouldn't have been able to attend university. I only had a set of pajamas, and I let her wear it. I didn't say I was giving it to her. At most, I'll buy her a set tomorrow. I'll take it home to wash and put it back. Shenjilia's expression softened a little. He looked at Yi Qianqian and said, I'll bring it back tomorrow. I don't like it when someone else wears that outfit. Yi Qianqian pouted and muttered, You're so petty. This isn't a matter of being stingy. I think it's a matter of principle. Yi Qianqian, this isn't just a matter of pajamas. Shenjilia's tone was a little heavy. He looked at Yi Qianqian with disappointment. She placed her hands on her hips and retorted, What kind of problem is that? It's just a small matter. You're a man. Why are you being so calculative? I already said that I'll get it back. What else do you want? These are the pajamas I gave you. You can give them away, but what about next time? Shenjilia gritted his teeth in anger. If she asks for something else next time, can you deliver it to her? Chapter 1740. Shenjilia found it a little ridiculous and laughed. She didn't take any credit for the fact that I'm with you. Yi Qianqian was exasperated. She flung her hair towel and said, You don't understand at all. Do you know why she's my best friend? Shenjilia raised his eyebrows and looked eager to hear more. When I was a freshman, my grandmother was in poor health. My father and grandfather took out all their savings to treat her. At that time, we had nothing at home. Half a semester had passed, and my father couldn't afford to pay for my living expenses. It was Fang Tongtong who provided for me. Shenjilia was silent. At that time, I couldn't even afford to eat. I had to work part-time while attending school. I had to send some of the money back home. At that time, I was so hungry that I developed stomach problems. I couldn't take it anymore and almost dropped out of school. It was Tong Tong who gave me $200 to eat properly. In the second semester, she even lent me the money she earned from her part-time job to pay for my tuition. Yi Qianqian felt a little sad when she said that. She looked at Shenjilia and continued, If it weren't for Tong Tong, would have dropped out of school. If I had dropped out of school, I wouldn't have found a job in Oya right after graduation. I wouldn't have met Lily, and I wouldn't have met you. So, it's all thanks to Tong Tong that we're together now. Shenjilia was even more silent after listening to this series of karma. When Yi Qianqian saw his reaction, she continued, Tong Tong is really good to me. I've always treated her as my best friend. All these years, she's been at home, and we've been apart more than together. I haven't had the chance to repay her. It's just a pair of pajamas. Don't be angry, okay? Shenjilia couldn't get angry even if he wanted to. He looked at Yi Qianqian and pursed his lips. When you went to Venice, you brought a bunch of gifts for her, right? Yeah. Actually, I wanted to ask her to go with me on the trip to Venice. I didn't expect that I'd sprain my ankle, so I couldn't go. The ticket expired. Then why didn't she come to visit you when you injured your ankle? She was busy at the shop. How could she have the time to visit me? I told her not to. So, she's not busy now? Yi Qianqian immediately shut her mouth and was speechless. Shenjilia sighed helplessly. I've never believed in such things. What? Fate. This is fate. Even if Fang Tongtong didn't help you back then, I believe that we would have met in other ways. But that's how things are now. Do you dare to say that this isn't Tongtong's credit? This is fate. This is fate. There's no such thing as a credit to anyone. Shenjilia didn't think much of it. Everything that happens is destined. Don't dwell too much on the past. People change. She looked at Shenjilia and said angrily, Forget it. I'm going to blow dry my hair. I can't be bothered to talk to you. Shenjilia didn't say another word. He turned off the computer and crawled under the covers. When Yi Qianqian came in, he hugged her. When Yi Qianqian felt his arms around her, she knew that he was up to no good again. He twisted his body and said softly, There's someone else here. Don't mess around. Shinjilia closed his eyes and wrapped his legs around her. Sleep. Yi Qianqian was exhausted and soon fell asleep. Chapter 1741. The next day, Yi Qianqian returned home after a day of work, but old Shen was not home. Fang Tongtong was not home either. Yi Qianqian raced against time to finish her work, only to come home to an empty house. She called Shinjilia. The moment the call connected, she heard voices coming from the other end of the line. Hello? You're not back yet? Yi Qianqian's voice carried a hint of coquettishness. I thought I could have dinner when I got back. Yeah, I have to work overtime today. There's a patient who isn't in good condition. I'm a little busy, so I forgot to tell you. Go out with your bestie to eat. Oh, okay. Take care and come back early. Okay. Yi Qianqian hung up the phone and called Fang Tongtong. Fang Tongtong was sitting leisurely in a cafe. When she received Yi Qianqian's call, she slowly picked it up. Hi, Qianqian. Where are you? I'm at home. Where are you? Old Shen is working overtime today, so he's not home. I haven't eaten yet. I'm at Xingye Square. Come over. Let's go have hot pot. Hot pot? It's such a hot day. It's my treat. I'll be right there. Fang Tongtong smiled and hung up the phone. She continued to browse the web on her phone. It was a guide to a short-term trip to Kingstown. Yi Qianqian and Fang Tongtong had hot pot together. After that, they went shopping and bought a lot of clothes. In addition to all kinds of clothes, there were also pajamas. They didn't return home until after 10 p.m. Shinjilia was reading some documents on the sofa in his pajamas. When he saw them return, he only glanced at them before he lowered his head and asked, Have you eaten? Yes, we went to buy a lot of clothes. Yi Qianqian waved the shopping bag in her hand. What did you eat tonight? I haven't eaten yet. Go take a shower. I'm a little busy. Shinjilia looked at the documents with a frown. There have been a lot of women committing suicide recently. What's going on? Fang Tongtong was a little curious. She placed the shopping bag on the sofa and sat down to look at Shinjilia. Yi Qianqian glanced at him. After she closed the door, she asked, How busy are you? You haven't eaten yet. Let me cook you a bowl of noodles. Okay. Don't put cilantro in it. Yi Qianqian pursed her lips and headed into the kitchen. Fang Tongtong asked curiously, What did you mean by committing suicide? Oh, it's like this. This female patient is an elite returnee. She's an executive of a large company. She was pursued by a man during a business meeting. After the two of them fell in love, the man's wife suddenly appeared and beat her up. She called her a mistress and even scratched her car. She wrote a lot of nasty words on it. Oh, and then? Fang Tongtong was obsessed with all kinds of gossip. She rested her chin on her hands and looked at Shinjilia seriously. Then, the woman went to the man to settle the score. When she was with the man, she didn't know that he had a wife. After they found each other, the man begged her not to break up with him. He promised that he would divorce his wife soon, but in the end, because his wife's family was rich and powerful, he couldn't bear to part with her, and the woman got pregnant. F***ck. That's so melodramatic. Fang Tongtong was shocked. And then? After that, the wife of the first wife beat the woman up again and caused her to have a miscarriage. After the incident, she was fired from the company, and the man disappeared without a trace. It could be said that he had nothing left. He was even cursed by others. In the end, he couldn't take the pressure and committed suicide at home. He didn't die. Chapter 1742. Huh. What's your rank in your hospital? From his tone, it sounded like he was at a very high rank. Shinjilia replied without even lifting his head, Department Director. D*mn, you're already a director at such a young age? D*mn. Fong Tong Tong looked like she was about to collapse. That can't be. Aren't directors usually in their 40s or 50s? You're such a young director. Are you serious? When Shinjilia heard that, he chuckled and said, Didn't Qianqian tell you? Of course not. She didn't even say a word. Look at how well she hid you. She didn't even tell me about such a big thing. Sigh, Yi Qianqian had just put the noodles into the pot. When she heard that, she felt a little smug and said, I'll just keep it to myself. Why should I tell you? Will this patient be difficult to handle? A little. He's having a mental breakdown. Based on his recent situation, he's showing signs of schizophrenia. If he doesn't handle it properly, he might just go crazy. Shinjilia was a little sympathetic. There are too many scumbags in this world. Exactly. There are too many scumbags. Fong Tong Tong was also indignant. If only all the men in this world were like you. You can't say that. If everyone was like me, how could they highlight my excellence? Shinjilia did not hold back at all. Yi Qianqian heard him from inside and snorted. Shameless. Can't you be a little more humble? There's no use in being humble. The halo of a genius like me can't be suppressed just because I'm humble. Pfft. Fong Tong Tong lifted her clothes. Hey, I don't even know how to respond to you like this. You should echo me and compliment me at a time like this, Shinjilia kindly reminded her. If you're cheated by a scumbag in the future, you can come to our hospital. I'll give you an insider discount. Pfft. Fong Tong Tong picked up an apple and threw it at him. Shut up. Shinjilia dodged and casually caught the apple. He put it back and said with a smile, I was thinking too much. A tough scumbag like you wouldn't dare to provoke you. Fong Tong Tong became even angrier. Are you saying that I'm too manly to get married? Qianqian, don't you care about your man? Yi Qianqian came out with a bowl of noodles and placed it in front of Shinjilia. She sat down beside him and said, What he said is the truth. You're so unfeminine. Isn't it normal that you can't get married? Husband and wife, you two are too hateful. Fong Tong Tong grabbed the bag of clothes and stood up. Then, she headed to her room. I'm going to ignore you guys. However, as soon as he turned around, the smile on his face disappeared. They seemed to be a perfect match for each other. Fong Tong Tong headed straight for the bedroom. Shinjilia's voice sounded from behind her. It smells so good. Huh, isn't it fragrant? It's fine if I don't cook, but once I do, I'll amaze you to death. Shinjilia sniffed the air and said with disdain, Just a few compliments, and you're getting all high and mighty. Bah, you dare to say it's not? Yes, yes. Fong Tong Tong closed the door. She felt upset. Looking at the gym full of fitness equipment in front of him, he slowly walked up. Over the next 2 days, Shinjilia was as busy as a bee. Fong Tong Tong went to play on her own during the day. After Yi Qianqian got off work, the two of them went around together. Another night passed, and Shinjilia still hadn't returned from working. Chapter 1743. She looked at the time. It was already past 10 p.m. After Yi Qianqian showered, she called Shinjilia. The phone rang for a long time, but no one picked up. Fong Tong Tong was playing games on the sofa. When she saw Yi Qianqian like this, she said, Why are they so strict? He's not even married yet, and he's already like this. If he's married, it'll be terrible. When Yi Qianqian heard the teasing, she became even more impatient and said irritably, Old Shen hasn't been away for so long. In the past, he would call back to report that he's safe and sound. It's already so late, and there's no news at all. How can this be? Well, maybe he's busy. Don't worry too much. A man like Old Shen wouldn't mess around outside. No. Yi Qianqian's heart beat faster. She subconsciously reached out to touch her chest and whispered, I keep feeling that something will happen to him, don't think too much. Nothing will happen. Fang Tongtong didn't mind. She paused the game and poured her a glass of water. Dry your hair. He'll be back in a while. Yi Qianqian took the glass, but she wasn't in the mood to drink it. She continued to call Shenjilia. She called several times in a row, but no one picked up. Kingstown Huxin Hospital. Hurry up. What are you waiting for? Where's the patient? She's under control. We've given her a sedative for now, but she can't stay in our hospital in such a situation. Stay. Stay my ass. Director Shen is already like this. Who would dare to stay? Hurry up and give him a blood transfusion. The people in the psychology department were busy, rushing back and forth. Everyone looked like they were in a hurry. It was past 11 p.m. when the hustle and bustle slowly came to a stop. A doctor walked to the department director's office and found that Shenjilia's phone had more than a dozen missed calls. The note on it was clear, future wife, love. When the doctor saw those words, he sighed, picked up the phone, turned around, and walked out. Yi Qianqian couldn't sleep. Shenjilia had never been like this. It was like he had disappeared into thin air. After tossing and turning, she finally got upset. She got up and logged into Shenjilia's WeChat account. The password for all of Shenjilia's social media accounts was the same. After Yi Qianqian logged in without any trouble, she immediately found Luo Ran. He sent a question mark over, followed by 2 words, Are you there? Yi Qianqian thought that Luo Ran would be either clubbing or having sex at this hour, so he wouldn't be able to recover quickly. But who knew that there would be an instant reply? Luo Ran, here, Luo Ran, another problem? Yi Qianqian looked at the words and said in a voice message, I'm Shenjilia's girlfriend, Yi Qianqian. It's already so late, and old Shen hasn't come back yet. I called him more than 20 times, but he didn't pick up. Do you know where he is? It was rare for Luo Ran to be a good boy at home, so he would watch a few comedies at home to relax. When he heard Yi Qianqian's voice, his heart skipped a beat. Tensing up, she straightened her back and typed a reply, This guy hasn't gone home yet? Is the phone in your hand now? Shenjilia, no, I just logged into his WeChat to ask you. Luo Ran, well, I don't know. I'm in the capital. Isn't he in Kingstown? Chapter 1744. Shenjilia, yeah, I think so too. Yi Qianqian had already changed her clothes. After putting on her shoes, she walked out. When Luo Ran saw her reply, he immediately felt that it was inappropriate. After thinking about it, he said, Why don't I ask him? Sister-in-law, don't be nervous. This guy is good at fighting. He can easily take on 2 people at once. Don't worry. When Yi Qianqian heard that, she didn't feel at ease. She thought about the female patient he mentioned a few days ago who was likely to go crazy. What if that woman really went crazy? A madman doesn't need to bear legal responsibility for killing someone. The more Yi Qianqian thought about it, the more scared she became. She picked up her bag and opened the door. Fang Tongtong saw her and asked, Where are you going? I'm going to look for old Shen. Aya, he's a man. What are you worried about? He just came back a little late. If you find him and he's fine, he might even say that you're too strict with him. Then it'll be awkward. Fang Tongtong stood up. If he's at a party, he'll definitely be laughed at by his friends. How will he face the world then? Yi Qianqian didn't stop in her tracks. At that moment, her phone suddenly vibrated. It was a phone call. The caller was Shenjilia. Yi Qianqian quickly picked up the phone. Hello? Yeah. It was Shenjilia's voice. Yi Qianqian breathed a sigh of relief and shouted anxiously, Where are you? Ah. Shenjilia looked like he had just woken up from a dream and said, I got off work early today. My colleagues dragged me out for a drink. I got drunk, so I didn't answer the phone. Yi Qianqian had been worried for so long, but this was the answer she had been waiting for. She suddenly felt that her worries were unnecessary. Gritting her teeth, Yi Qianqian slammed the half-open door shut and said, "I'll drink you to death." "Where are you?" "I'll pick you up." "There's no need. I'm resting at my colleague's house." "Oh, right. I have to go back to my hometown in the capital tomorrow. Something happened with my brother. I have to go back as soon as possible." "Shen Luopen?" "Yeah," Shen Jilie replied faintly. His voice sounded a little weak. When Yi Qianqian heard that, she knew that he had drunk too much and wasn't in a good state. She was a little annoyed, but there was nothing she could do about it. She asked, "What time is your flight tomorrow?" "I'll pack your luggage and send it over." "Where's your colleague's house?" "It's fine. It's a male colleague. If you don't believe me, I'll let him answer the phone." As he spoke, there was a soft noise coming from the other end. No, she just wanted to see him. It had been a whole night, and her heart was still hanging in the air, feeling very uncomfortable. Yi Qianqian swallowed the words that were on the tip of her tongue. "Sister-in-law, nice to meet you. I'm Zhou Dawei, Xiao Zhou. Mr. Shen had dinner at my house and we drank a little too much. It's late now and Mr. Shen is not in a good state. We have to catch a plane back to the capital tomorrow morning. It's better to rest at my place." Xiao Zhou sounded rather sober. Yi Qianqian was silent for a moment before asking, "You didn't drink?" Little Zhou seemed a little embarrassed. "I've been suffering from gastric bleeding recently. My wife won't let me drink it, so I can only force other brothers to drink it. I'm sorry, sister-in-law, but I'll have to trouble you to stay alone tonight. I won't ask Chief Shen to come down again, I promise." Chapter 1745. All right. Xiao Zhou felt as if he had been pardoned. "In that case, sister-in-law, Brother Shen seems to have fallen asleep again. I'll hang up now." "Okay. Thank you for your hard work." "You're welcome." Xiao Zhou hung up the phone in trepidation before heaving a huge sigh of relief. Xiao Zhou returned the phone to Shen Jilie with a pained expression and said, "Brother Shen, is it really okay to lie to sister-in-law like that? I think it's better to tell her." Shen Jilie lay on the hospital bed. His eyes were squinted, and his face was extremely pale. A soft tube was attached to his arm, and a transparent liquid was slowly being transferred into his body. When he heard Xiao Zhou's words, Shen Jilie opened his eyes and said, "It'll be even worse if I tell her. She'll be worried." "But are you going to stay in the hospital just like that? With your injuries, you'll need to stay here for at least some time. It won't do if you don't have a woman to take care of you." "It's fine. Go back to work. I can take care of it myself." Xiao Zhou panicked when he heard that. "What can you take care of? That's such a big wound, and you've lost so much blood. It's good enough that you're still alive. How are you going to survive? You might not even be able to use your arm for the rest of your life. If you don't take good care of it, we'll see who gets the short end of the stick in the future. It's my bad luck to have such a patient." Shen Jilie smiled bitterly as he looked at his arm, which had more than 10 stitches. "Where's the woman?" Sigh. "She's been sedated and locked up for the time being. But how did she end up like this all of a sudden? It can't be, Dr. Shen." Shen Jilie took a deep breath and said, "Get me some water." Xiao Zhou pouted, but he had no choice but to obediently pour some water. Shen Jilie continued, "She said that I looked like her ex-boyfriend and wanted me to compensate her for the loss of her youth. She even told me to die with her. I'm so handsome, so how could I die with her? What a waste. So, I resolutely resisted. She had a mental breakdown. After she smashed the cup, she stabbed me several times with the shards." Xiao Zhou was both angry and amused when he heard that. But when he looked at Shinjilia's hand, he couldn't bring himself to laugh. You used your hand to block it? Of course, if I didn't use my hands to block it, I would have either gone blind or had my throat slit. In any case, I would have ended up worse than this. Tisk. Xiao Zhou expressed his sympathy. A woman who has lost her mind isn't scary. The scariest thing is that this crazy woman is a Sonda fighter. Thank you, Mr. Shen. Well, where's the water? Coming. Yi Qianqian didn't sleep well that night. When the alarm clock rang the next day, she had only slept for a few hours. She got out of bed, washed up, and got ready to go to work. As soon as she got on the bus, she called Shinjilia. Shinjilia didn't seem to be fully awake. It rang a few times before the call was answered. You're awake? Shinjilia sounded sleepy. When Yi Qianqian heard the voice, she yawned as well. Yeah, I'm on the bus heading to the office. What time is your flight? It's 12:00 at noon. I have to arrive early. Alright, remember to drink some honey water or some hangover soup. Buy some plums before you board the plane. That way, you won't feel so uncomfortable. Yes. Alright, go to sleep. When will you be back? In a few days. I'll call you when I'm back. Okay. Go to sleep. Okay. Shinjilia replied in a low voice. Just as Yi Qianqian was about to hang up, Shinjilia suddenly said, Qianqian. Yes? I love you. Chapter 1746. The corners of her lips curled up, but she said, Why do you have so much to say? I'm hanging up. After hanging up, Yi Qianqian's drowsiness was swept away. She looked at the traffic jam in front of her and instantly felt more pleasing to the eye. Perhaps this was the power of love. After hanging up, Shinjilia pressed the lock screen. The screensaver showed Yi Qianqian's beautiful and exquisite face. It made people feel relaxed and happy. The door to the ward opened, and Xiao Zhou walked in with a thermos. When he saw the smile on Shinjilia's face, he teased, Hey, hey, hey. What are you looking at? You look so happy. Are you looking at sister-in-law? Shinjilia put down his phone and wiped the smile off his face. He looked at Xiao Zhou and raised his eyebrows. You're early. It's getting late. Everyone in the hospital is already at work. I specially checked in before coming over. Come, have some porridge. I haven't brushed my teeth yet. Come, help me up. Shinjilia's hand was hurting badly. He was alone in the ward, and even going to the bathroom was a little difficult. Now that someone was around, he naturally had to do his job properly. Xiao Zhou was on good terms with Shinjilia. When he saw Shinjilia like this, he sighed and said, Why don't you come clean with sister-in-law? You can't go on like this. Your hand needs to be monitored. You can't be careless. It's fine. If she sees this, she'll despise me. Shinjilia sighed. His heart ached. From the beginning, he had been pestering Yi Qianqian. Yi Qianqian had never thought of marrying him. If she knew that he was in this state, how would she react? Xiao Zhou could tell that Shinjilia didn't seem to be joking. He laughed and said, How could that be? Sister-in-law would feel bad for her own man. How can a woman not feel bad for him? Shinjilia sat up with help. When he heard Xiao Zhou's words, he was silent for a moment before saying, She's not the same. There's nothing different. Women are all like that, especially since you've lived with her for so long. Maybe she already sees you as her husband. Even if you're disabled, a woman can't despise you. You'd better ask sister-in-law to take care of you. I'm busy with work. I'm afraid that if something happens, I won't be able to take care of you. Go away. I'm a doctor after all. I know common sense. If you still can't do it, I'll press the nursing light. Go back to your work. I'll be fine. That won't do. Why don't I go to your house and pack some clothes to change into? We still have to observe for a while. We can't just wear this, right? Go buy a few. Don't go back. Don't tell my woman. Little Zhou was speechless. He opened the kanji to cool and walked out. Fang Tongtong was alone in Yi Qianqian's house. She was bored. Shenjilia had been out on his own for several days. His days were getting more and more boring with each passing day, and Shenjilia didn't even come home. Why not just return to Cloud Town? Fang Tongtong packed her clothes and bought a suitcase. Then, she packed all her belongings together. She came empty-handed and returned with a load. When she was packing, she saw a business card on the table in the living room. A few days ago, when they were talking, Shenjilia had given her the business card of a single doctor. Fang Tongtong hadn't called him yet. When she looked at the white card, the corners of her lips slowly turned up. She picked up the landline in the living room and dialed the number. The call was quickly connected. Gu Yuanqing was at work. When he picked up his phone, he saw a notification, Director Shen's house. Chapter 1747. It must be sister-in-law, right? Gu Yuanqing glanced at the screen and felt a little uneasy. Why did his sister-in-law call him? I didn't do anything too serious, did I? After some thought, Gu Yuanqing picked up the phone and answered the call. Hello. It was a very young voice. Fang Tongtong's eyes lit up when she heard it. Hello, is this Dr. Gu Yuanqing? Yes, sister-in-law. Sister-in-law? Fang Tongtong was stunned for a moment when he suddenly called her name. However, she quickly realized who he was referring to. You've misunderstood. I'm not his girlfriend. I'm his girlfriend's best friend. Gu Yuanqing heaved a sigh of relief when he heard that and asked, Then how did you get my number? Fang Tongtong was a little embarrassed. She stammered for a while before she said, I just wanted to get to know more people, so old Shen gave me your name card. Gu Yuanqing nodded his head and didn't think too much about it. He asked, Are you with sister-in-law now? Not yet. Qianqian went to work. What's the matter? Well, since you called, I won't hide it from you. Something happened to Brother Shen recently. He lied when he said that he returned to the capital today. He was injured and didn't want sister-in-law to worry, so he didn't dare to tell the truth. Fang Tongtong was shocked when she heard that. No way. Old Shen was injured? Is it serious? Sigh, it's pretty serious. His arm was stabbed 4 times, and every stab was very deep. There were even glass shards inside. One of them even injured an artery. After a blood transfusion, he's much better now. However, such a serious injury can't go unattended. Old Shen didn't dare tell his girlfriend because he was afraid that she would be worried. We were still wondering if we should hire a caregiver for him. Hire a caregiver? Caregivers are extremely expensive. Fang Tongtong clicked her tongue and said, There's no need to hire a caregiver. Mr. Gu, why don't you send me the address? I'll go take a look. If the injury is really serious, I'll tell Qianqian and ask her to take care of old Shen. Gu Yuanqing was quiet for a moment before he said, All right. He's at Kingstown Huxin Hospital. Call me when you're here, and I'll tell you in person. All right, I'll go right away. Oh yes, why don't you prepare some clothes for Brother Shen? Brother Shen doesn't have any clothes in the hospital, and it's not convenient for me to look for sister-in-law. All right, I'll tidy it up. Thank you. Gu Yuanqing heaved a sigh of relief. I should be the one thanking you. Old Zhou was still thinking of buying it after work. There's no need for that now. How should I address you? The room of the house. Okay, see you later. Fang Tongtong hung up the phone. After she changed her clothes, she hurriedly hailed a cab and left. When they arrived at the hospital, it was already half an hour later. Fang Tongtong called Gu Yuansheng and walked into the inpatient department. The call was quickly answered. Where are you? I'm in the inpatient department. Hey, I think I saw you. Are you wearing a white dress with long black hair and carrying a black bag? Yes. Fang Tongtong looked around and finally saw a young man wearing glasses at the end of the corridor. He was quite tall, and his face was powdered and powdered. He looked gentle and refined, and was quite tall. Chapter 1748. He was a handsome young man. Gu Yuansheng saw Fang Tongtong and said, "Hello, I'm Gu Yuansheng." Fang Tongtong quickly reacted and nodded. Oh. Hello, I'm Fang Tongtong. Gu Yuansheng smiled. He looked at the black bag in her hand and said, "Is this Brother Shen's clothes? Give them to me." "Yeah, I just took them. I don't know what he usually wears. I'm just staying at his house temporarily." Fang Tongtong handed it over. "It's okay. It's fine as long as you have them. Come with me." Gu Yuansheng brought Fang Tongtong to Shenjilia's ward. Shenjilia was on an 4 drip. He sat on the bed and stared at his phone with a pale face. When he heard the door open, Shenjilia looked up. When he saw Fang Tongtong, his heart almost jumped out of his chest. "Why are you here?" Shenjilia exclaimed in surprise. He quickly got up. However, just as he stood up, he sucked in a breath of cold air. Fang Tongtong did not expect to see Shenjilia like this. She was shocked. When she saw Shenjilia's abnormally pale face, she was a little frightened. Fang Tongtong shifted her gaze to Shenjilia's arm. His arm was wrapped tightly, and blood was still seeping out. It was obvious that the injury was serious. "How did you end up like this?" Fang Tongtong exclaimed. "This is too tragic. If Qianqian saw this, she would be heartbroken. No, I have to call Qianqian. Your condition is too frightening." As she spoke, Fang Tongtong had already picked up her phone. She found Qianqian's number and was about to call. Shenjilia was shocked and said, No, Dr. Gu, quickly hold her down. You can't call my woman." Gu Yuansheng did not expect the lady to be so direct. She immediately picked up the phone. When he saw Shenjilia's nervous expression, he quickly took the phone from Fang Tongtong's hand and said, "Miss Fang, please don't do this. Brother Shen doesn't want sister-in-law to know. That's why I chose to tell you. If you do this, won't I become a sinner?" Gu Yuansheng pleaded, "Miss Fang, please don't be rash." Fang Tongtong's phone was being held. She frowned when she saw Shenjilia's situation. Qianqian will be worried. Qianqian doesn't know about my injury, right? You didn't tell her, did you? Shenjilia stood up. The wound on his arm was throbbing in pain. "I didn't tell her, but you have no choice but to tell her about your condition." Fang Tongtong felt that it was inappropriate. His arm was already in such a state. Shouldn't someone take care of him? "No, I told her that I went to the capital. If I tell her now that I was lying to her, won't she hate me to death? But if I don't say it, Qianqian will definitely hate me. You're different. You're her best friend, and she values you very much. No matter what, she wouldn't break up with you, would she?" Shenjilia asked. Fang Tongtong was speechless. "Are you afraid that she'll break up with you?" Shenjilia was silent. "Don't worry. It's impossible. Although Qianqian doesn't say it, she likes you very much. She loves you to death. It's impossible for her to break up with you." Chapter 1749. As soon as Gu Yuansheng heard that, he knew that Shenjilia had come to settle scores with him. She subconsciously took a step back, coughed lightly, and said, "Brother Shen, I'm doing this for your own good. Look, I even asked this girl to pack some clothes for you." As he spoke, he tugged at the bag. The clothes inside quickly fell to the ground and fell into a pile. Fong Tong Tong was a little embarrassed. I took everything from my suitcase. Last night, Qianqian prepared a few pieces of clothing for you and placed them in a small suitcase. I opened it up and took the clothes over, but I was in a hurry, so I casually scooped them up. Actually, I didn't know what was inside. Did Qianqian prepare this for me? Shenjilia stared at the pile of clothes and felt a little happy. Well, didn't you say you were going back to the capital today? She packed it for you and waited for you to go home to get it. Gu Yuanqing's face was full of envy, jealousy, and hatred. Brother Shen, you're so lucky. You didn't even let sister-in-law know about this. Sigh, if sister-in-law knew, she would be so distressed. When Shenjilia heard this, he felt a little smug. From the looks of it, Yi Qianqian's heart wasn't without him. Even though he didn't go back last night, she still knew to prepare clothes for him. However, if Yi Qianqian found out that he was lying to her, Shenjilia sighed softly and said, let's wait for a few more days. We'll tell her when she's almost recovered. She's been very busy lately, and she hasn't been to work for a few days. We can't let her keep taking days off and running around. Most importantly, he didn't want her to worry. She looked at Fong Tong Tong and said, you should go back first. Don't tell her about this. Just pretend that you don't know anything about it. Fong Tong Tong furrowed her brows and said, how can I do that? If I know, I know. If I don't know, I don't know. If you want me to not tell Qianqian, that's fine too. Qianqian is more sensitive. If she finds out, she'll definitely be upset. Yes. Shenjilia understood Yi Qianqian, but Fong Tong Tong understood her even better. Although Yi Qianqian appeared carefree, she was more meticulous than most people. Why don't you return to Cloud Town directly? That way, you won't have to hide it from Qianqian and go against your conscience. When Fong Tong Tong heard that, she felt even more annoyed and said, are you saying that you want me to leave you here to fend for yourself? I have a bunch of colleagues here, and this is my territory. What do you mean by self-destruction? Shenjilia found it a little funny. That's enough. It's none of your business. Go back. No, Qianqian has been busy recently, and I just thought that you went back to the capital. I have nothing to do all day, and I know how you are now. Let me take care of you. Anyway, you have colleagues to do the hard work. I'll just buy you food and bring you water. I think it's fine. Gu Yuanqing immediately replied, anyway, Brother Shen, you can only lie down now. Let Xiao Feng accompany you to talk. How good would that be? Go to hell, no, men and women shouldn't touch each other. After all, I'm a single girl, what's the point of taking care of a man? No. Aya, why are you so pretentious? The girl doesn't even mind. Gu Yuanqing said, don't you think so, Xiao Feng? Chapter 1750. Gu Yuanqing clapped his hands. Good. Well said. It's settled then. Brother Shen, I'm leaving. Little Feng, call me if you need anything. I'm ready to answer the phone anytime. Okay. Go ahead. Fong Tong Tong smiled. Soon, Gu Yuanqing felt relieved, turned around, and walked out. Shenjilia felt it was inappropriate. You should go back. It's not appropriate for a man and a woman to be alone. Why are you so talkative? Can you move by yourself? Why don't I call Qianqian over? The second half of the sentence hit Shenjilia's soft spot. Shenjilia pursed his lips and didn't say anything. From that day on, Fong Tong Tong was busy running up and down the hospital. When Yi Qianqian went to work during the day, Fong Tong Tong ran to the hospital. Fong Tong Tong took care of ordering takeout, buying nutritious meals, changing medicine, pouring water, and other miscellaneous chores. If Shenjilia needed to go to the bathroom, he would call for his buddies to help him. Fong Tong Tong slowly returned home in the evening. This went on for 3 to 4 days in a row. It was the weekend. It was rare that Yi Qianqian didn't sleep in on the weekend. She picked up her phone and scrolled through Weibo. She couldn't bear to read anything else. She closed the page and opened her contact list. Ever since Shenjilia returned to the capital, she had called Shenjilia more than 20 times. Each call lasted no more than 10 minutes. More importantly, Yi Qianqian had been the one to make all the calls in the past 10 minutes. Shenjilia hadn't taken the initiative to call her in the past few days. The more Yi Qianqian thought about it, the more she felt that something was wrong. She sent a text message. Yi Qianqian asked, "Are you awake?" There was no reply. She looked at the time. It was 8:30 in the morning. According to Shenjilia's normal biological clock, he should be awake by now. Yi Qianqian wanted to call him, but she immediately regretted her decision before the call could go through. Yi Qianqian hung up the phone and walked out in frustration. At that moment, Fang Tongtong walked out of the bathroom. She had changed into clothes that were suitable for going out instead of her normal pajamas. Yi Qianqian was a little surprised. "Who are you going out with?" "Ah. Ha." Fang Tongtong was a little embarrassed. "I'm going to meet a classmate. I haven't seen him in a long time." "Classmate? Who?" "You don't know him." "I don't know them." Yi Qianqian found it strange. "Stop fooling around. Are there any classmates you know that I don't know?" "Aha, that's right. Didn't you choose fewer elective courses in university?" "That's when I met her." "You've never seen her before." Yi Qianqian found it even stranger. "I wanted to go to the movies with you." "Is the classmate you're talking about a guy or a girl?" "Don't tell me you're in love." "Of course not." "Sigh, it's not that easy to fall in love." "Sigh, I'm going out." Fang Tongtong looked a little defeated. "You should continue to catch up on sleep. You've been working overtime for so many days. Get some rest. When are you coming back?" "How about tonight?" "Oh. You've been coming home very late recently, and you've been spending time with your classmate? You leave early and return late, and you won't even let me see you. How dare you say that you're not dating?" Yi Qianqian's eyes were mischievous. "Tell me, who is the other party?" "Bah. Don't think too much about it. Hurry up and call your man." "Muah." Fang Tongtong put on her shoes and quickly ran off. Chapter 1751. The Ways of the World. Yi Qianqian slumped on the sofa out of boredom. She picked up her phone and clicked on the chat box with Shenjilia. Shenjilia's status on her WeChat was pinned at the top. His profile picture was of him wearing a white coat, and he looked like a proper person. She hadn't seen that face for days. She flipped through their chat history. Suddenly, her phone vibrated, and a new message came in. It was from WeChat. It was from Shenjilia. Shenjilia's message was a little strange. It was a few words. "Have you seen the stars?" Yi Qianqian blinked her eyes in confusion. "Sisai, colon. Shenjilia?" "Sisai, yes, I have." "Shenjilia, have you seen a 5-pointed star?" "Sisai, picture." Yi Qianqian drew a 5-pointed star and sent it over with a cheeky emoticon. "Shenjilia, have you seen a 4-pointed star?" "Sisai, air. Are there stars with 4 corners?" "Shenjilia, I miss you." At the same time that the message was sent, many 4-pointed stars fell from WeChat, glittering with golden light. Yi Qianqian's heart warmed when she saw it, and she chuckled. She opened the video call and made the call. However, Shenjilia immediately rejected the call as soon as it was made. Shenjilia's reply came immediately, "It's not convenient. The elders are talking." "Sisai, your elders are talking, and you have the nerve to be daydreaming in front of them. Are you tired of living?" "Shenjilia, it doesn't matter. As long as you don't do it openly. I'm handsome, so I have special privileges." "Sisai, Are you shameless? Shinjilia, ha ha ha. Sisai, when are you coming back? Sisai, I miss you, too. Sisai, Tong Tong might be going back in a few days. Come back soon. Shinjilia's heart warmed when he saw Yi Qianqian's words. She said that she missed him, too. God knew how rare it was to hear such words from Yi Qianqian's mouth. However, looking at the water still dripping from his hand, he said, I'm afraid it'll take a few more days. I won't be back so soon. Yi Qianqian was disappointed and asked, call me when you're ready. As soon as the message was sent, Shinjilia's call came in. Yi Qianqian was pleasantly surprised. Hello? You woke up so early? Shinjilia's voice sounded lazy and low. It was obvious that he had just woken up. When she heard the voice, Yi Qianqian felt a rush of heat in her heart. She became restless. Aren't you the elder talking? I said I had a stomachache, so I ran out. Shinjilia said this calmly. Life has been tough lately. I've been under pressure every day. Sigh, okay, then I'll talk to old Shen. Thank you, comrade Little Goo. A loud female voice, a classic and familiar loud voice. Shinjilia's heart skipped a beat. He was caught off guard when the door to the ward was opened. His beloved Fang Tongtong's voice was especially jarring. Shinjilia subconsciously plugged his phone's microphone, but the moment he did so, Fang Tongtong's voice was cut off again. Fang Tongtong walked in with 2 sets of breakfast in her hands. Her eyes were fixed on Shinjilia. When she saw the phone in Shinjilia's hand, she was immediately shocked. She stammered, You're on the phone? Chapter 1752. Yi Qianqian's curious voice drifted over. Shinjilia's heart was in his throat. He quickly replied, How is that possible? I'm in the capital. By the way, what has Tong Tong been up to recently? Yi Qianqian smiled. Yes, how could that be possible? Shinjilia was in the capital, and Fang Tongtong was still in Kingstown. When she heard that, Yi Qianqian tucked her hair behind her ear. She couldn't hide the smile on her lips as she said, She seems to be in a relationship recently. She's always happy when she goes out every day. When she comes back, she's already had her meal. I've been eating alone recently. Fortunately, this longtime bachelor is finally going to get rid of her single status. Sigh, I can finally breathe a sigh of relief. As Shinjilia listened, his eyes fell on Fang Tongtong. The more he listened, the more guilty he felt. If Yi Qianqian found out that Fang Tongtong had nothing to do in the hospital recently, what would she think? Shinjilia suddenly regretted it. Yi Qianqian stayed with Fang Tongtong every day. They ate and lived together. It was hard to guarantee that Fang Tongtong wouldn't give herself away. Although there was nothing between them, Yi Qianqian's tone made it clear that Fang Tongtong had been in a relationship recently. If Yi Qianqian found out that Fang Tongtong's boyfriend was actually Shinjilia, wouldn't that be bad? What are you doing? Yi Qianqian asked when she saw that Shinjilia was not speaking. Shinjilia immediately snapped back to reality. He laughed and said, Nothing. My grandmother was talking to me just now. Remember to eat on time when I'm not around. Have you been busy at work recently? Yeah, I've been crazy busy. There's a lot of things that have been backlogged, and I have to deal with all of them. Yesterday was Friday, and I worked overtime until 10 o'clock at night. Fortunately, Tong Tong had already had her meal when she came back. Otherwise, my heart would be filled with guilt. You. Shinjilia felt his heart ache. Yi Qianqian's mouth was sometimes unforgiving, but Shinjilia knew that she was just a tough mouth. Deep down, she was kinder than anyone else. She had this kind of attractive quality, which was why he was so attracted to her. Shinjilia's heart softened, and he took a deep breath. Don't tire yourself out. If you're too busy with work, you can ask Lily to help you. Anyway, Lily is waiting at home to give birth. She's bored all day. That won't do. She's pregnant. If O Ming finds out, I'll be hacked to death. Shenjilia chuckled. He glanced at Fong Tong Tong, who was rooted to the spot, and said, "That's true. I'll tell you later. I'll be busy for a while." "All right." Yi Qianqian reluctantly hung up the phone. Yi Qianqian hugged the large doll on the sofa and rolled over. Her heart felt as if it had been pricked by a rusty hook. It was itchy and painful. Busy, busy, busy. Busy in Kingstown, busy back in the capital. Yi Qianqian bit the nose of the big puppy. "Are you so busy that you don't even have time to talk to me? You bastard." However, she would soon be able to see him again. The corners of Yi Qianqian's lips curled up. She turned around and picked up her phone. Fong Tong Tong put down the breakfast and carefully walked over. "Did I speak too loudly just now?" he asked with some uncertainty and apprehension on his face. Chapter 1753. When Fong Tong Tong saw Shenjilia's expression, she immediately knew what was going on. He immediately closed his eyes, put his palms together in front of his eyes, and said sincerely, I'm sorry, old Shen. I really didn't mean it. I didn't know you were on the phone. The person who called just now was Qianqian, right?" Shenjilia's expression darkened, but he didn't answer her directly. He said, "It's better if you don't come here anymore. My condition is much better now. I'll be discharged in a few days. I don't need your care anymore." Fong Tongtong's heart skipped a beat. "How can we do that?" "No way." Shenjilia frowned when he heard that. "I can get up on my own now. I can even eat and go to the bathroom. I don't need anyone to take care of me anymore." Fong Tongtong also realized that she might have overreacted. After a moment of silence, she said, "You might think that your condition is much better, but Xiao Gu just told me that your wound is still healing. It could reopen at any time. If it bleeds and becomes inflamed, it'll be very troublesome." Yi Qianqian looked at Fong Tongtong. "Gu Yuanqing told you?" Fong Tongtong nodded. "Then tell Gu Yuanqing to come in and tell me." Fong Tongtong's expression darkened. "Don't you trust me? I came here to take care of you for the past few days because you didn't want Qianqian to know, so I didn't dare to tell her about you. Every day when I'm with her, I'm afraid that I won't be able to stop myself from telling her. Do you know how tormented I am?" Fong Tongtong's words were direct and carried an indescribable sense of grievance. Shenjilia pursed his lips and remained silent. "I'm Qianqian's best friend. Recently, Qianqian has been as busy as a spinning top. She gets off work very late every day. However, it's the weekend these 2 days, and you can't leave someone to take care of you. I think I'd better talk to her about it." As she spoke, Fong Tongtong had already picked up her phone and looked like she was about to make a call. Shenjilia's expression darkened. "Are you threatening me? How is this a threat? It's only right for your girlfriend to take care of you, but Qianqian has been so busy lately, and you're afraid that she'll tire herself out. As Qianqian's best friend, I have no choice but to help. Because of your request, I'm stuck in the middle, and now I'm being chased away by you." "What the F***ck?" As Fong Tongtong spoke, her eyes reddened. Turning around, he said, "Forget it. It's the weekend anyway. Go and call her over yourself." These words, Shenjilia felt a headache coming on. He raised his hand and shouted, "Wait a minute. Why are you looking for Qianqian now? I already told her that I'm in the capital. Aren't you trying to slap me in the face? Then what should I do? You won't let me stay here, and you can't be alone here. If you get infected by yourself, it'll be fatal. Do you want me to watch my best friend's boyfriend die in front of me?" Shenjilia was speechless. He could only feel the pain from the wound on his arm. "Forget it, I'm hungry. What did you buy? Fang Tongtong's back was facing Shenjilia, and the corners of her lips curled up. But he quickly restrained himself, turned around, and opened the lunch box he had just bought, and said, light porridge. Shenjilia had asked Gu Yuanxing about it, and it was indeed Gu Yuanxing who had said that. This was because the possibility of infection had been greatly reduced. Now, the probability had become very, very small, but they still had to be prepared. Chapter 1754. However, time seemed to be crawling at a snail's pace. On Sunday, Yi Qianqian slept the entire day at home. When she woke up, it was already evening. The dim light in the surroundings made everything look like it was covered with a layer of gray veil. The lights in the house weren't turned on, and Fang Tongtong hadn't returned yet. Yi Qianqian looked at everything in front of her, and waves of emptiness assaulted her heart. Inexplicably, she felt as if she had been abandoned by the entire world. Loneliness, solitude, her heart ached. Yi Qianqian reached for her phone and looked at the time. It was 7:00 in the evening. Yi Qianqian tapped on her contact list and immediately dialed the number that she was extremely familiar with. The call was quickly picked up. There was a burst of noise before Shenjilia's voice could be heard. Shenjilia coughed heavily before asking, "What's wrong?" Yi Qianqian's heart felt empty, and she felt extremely uncomfortable. She stood up and turned on the lights. It was a little blinding, but at least the feeling of emptiness had faded a lot. "I just woke up and dreamed of you." Yi Qianqian sat on the bed and narrowed her eyes. "Guess what I dreamed of?" "Well, if you can dream of me, it's definitely not an empty dream. It's probably that your mind was filled with my handsome face, and you couldn't walk because of my handsomeness?" Pfft. Shenjilia made a soft sound. "Brother Shen, can you be a little more shameless?" When Yi Qianqian heard the sound, she laughed out loud. "Look, even your colleagues are saying that you're shameless. Can't you speak properly?" "Well, let me guess. You dreamed that we got married? Then we gave birth to an adorable daughter? Then we held our daughter's hand together, and the family of 3 happily went to school. During the day, we went to school and went to work separately. At night, we went home together and dreamed together." Yi Qianqian's heart warmed, but she still retorted, "That's called daydreaming. I really did have that kind of dream." After Shenjilia said that, he immediately realized what was going on. "What did you dream of just now?" "I dreamed that we broke up. Then, you went around crying, telling everyone that I had dumped you and that I was fooling around outside. I went around saying that it wasn't me, it wasn't me." As Yi Qianqian spoke, she chuckled. "But you kept slandering me. You said that I cheated on you and that I had another man outside. Then, my reputation was ruined. Everyone was spitting on me. Then, I woke up in shock." Shenjilia was silent for a moment before he said, "That's what you call daydreaming. You can't even dream about breaking up with me. I'll go." Yi Qianqian felt much more at ease after hearing his words. Her stomach growled, and she immediately said, "I'm hungry. I'm going to eat. Bye." "Hello." Shenjilia wanted to say something else, but Yi Qianqian had already hung up. Yi Qianqian's lips curled up in a good mood. She tossed her phone aside and went outside to cook some noodles for herself. However, he immediately regained his senses. Just now. Who was the person on the other end of the line? Only his colleagues would address him as Brother Shen. That was why she said it was his colleague. But, wasn't Shenjilia supposed to be at home in the capital? Why didn't Shenjilia refute her? Before Yi Qianqian could figure it out, the door opened. Fang Tongtong walked in with a tired expression. When she saw Yi Qianqian, she greeted her and said, "Hi." "Yeah, I'm cooking noodles." "Have you eaten?" "I have." Chapter 1755. There was a hint of ambiguity in Yi Qianqian's words. When Fong Tongtong saw it, she felt a little guilty. She averted her eyes, not daring to meet Yi Qianqian's eyes. She said bashfully, "What little boyfriend? There's nothing like that." "Nothing?" Yi Qianqian leaned over. "Why are you blushing if there's nothing like that?" Wow, Fong Tongtong actually knows how to be shy. "Quick, tell me, what kind of person is that man? Is he handsome?" Fong Tongtong felt even more uneasy. She turned her head away and said, "Don't overthink it. He's not a man." "Huh. If he's not a man, you leave early and return late every day?" Yi Qianqian clearly did not believe her. When Fong Tongtong saw Yi Qianqian skillfully cooking noodles, the guilt in her heart lessened a little. "But I really didn't expect that you would get into a relationship so soon after coming to Kingstown. You'll have to come to Kingstown more often in the future." Yi Qianqian extinguished the fire and sat down on the sofa with the noodles. Fong Tongtong looked at her. Her heart was beating a little fast. She sat down in front of Yi Qianqian and said, "Actually, I'm not going on a date recently. He was injured, so I went to the hospital to take care of him." "Injured? What happened?" "It was a work injury. I'm not too sure about the details, but the injury was pretty serious. He had to get 12 stitches on his arm, and his artery was injured. He's still in the hospital after a blood transfusion." Yi Qianqian gasped. "That can't be. Is his hand all right?" "It's fine. Fortunately, it didn't hurt his nerves. As long as he recuperates, his hand will be fine." Fong Tongtong looked at Yi Qianqian and smiled. "He's much better now." "That's good. That's good. But what kind of job is this? It's too dangerous. His hand was perfectly fine, and it ended up like this. His life might be in danger in the future." Yi Qianqian was frightened when she heard that. "You have to make a good choice when it comes to marriage. Tell him to quit when he's better." Fong Tongtong laughed. "It's just an exception. It's not as dangerous as it is every day. This job is still very stable." "What do you do?" "Doctor. Haven't the doctor-patient relationship been a little tense lately? I can't help it even if I bump into them occasionally." Fong Tongtong shrugged. "Doctor? What a coincidence." "Haha. Old Shen is also a doctor, but he's a psychiatrist. He's nothing compared to those doctors who can save lives with a knife. Bring me to meet him if there's a chance." Yi Qianqian was surprised. "Yeah." Fong Tongtong felt a little guilty and lowered her head. "I'll bring him home when he's better." "Great, what does he look like?" "He looks good when he smiles. His teeth are very neat, and he loves to smile. He's also very tall and has fair skin, but he's very masculine. He likes to work out, and he's healthy, sunny, and handsome." Fong Tongtong's face was filled with fascination when she talked about this person. Yi Qianqian looked at her with a mischievous glint in her eyes. "It looks like you've really fallen for him this time. A man that you like must be very outstanding, right?" "Of course, he is very, very outstanding. I like him very, very much." "Ha ha ha, does she like you?" "Of course." Fong Tongtong's face heated up. "Otherwise, it's just that I'm too busy shaving my head. It's boring." Yi Qianqian patted her on the shoulder and said, "That's good. Get along well. When you get married, I'll be your bridesmaid." You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.